So hey guys, welcome back to Itachi What If. Before anything else, I just want to thank all of you for the incredible support on the previous two parts of What If Naruto was the Descendant of Vergil Sparda. And I'm excited to present part 3. In the previous two parts, we saw his bond with Hyuga, Temari, Enko, and Kurenai. Now, in part 3, we'll see him focus more on his training and relationships. Naruto shares some heartfelt and romantic moments with Yugito, female Haku, and female QB. Alongside these emotional moments, get ready for intense battles and surprising twists that will keep you engaged. As always, remember that the next part will drop as soon as we hit 200 likes. So don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell icon to stay updated. Check out the description for more details. Now sit back and enjoy part 3. Chapter 5: The Uchiha's Preemptive Fall. Vergil awoke carefully not to disturb the three undressed beauties sleeping contently with him, as he took a shower, got dressed for the day, and headed out to the Hokage Tower to check up on a few things. As he walked to the Hokage Tower, Vergil noticed the mixture of fear, respect, regret, and anger directed at him for the usual obvious reasons. However, they were easily ignored, and entered the Hokage Tower to see the new Hokage known to all as Senju Tsunade doing the heavy load of paperwork. "Working hard, I see," said Vergil, as he saw Tsunade glare at him, but saw it didn't affect the half-devil like it did so many others. "Now I see why my old sensei left the room in a hurry after I saw this. This monument of papers he left for me to deal with. As it stands though, Vergil, I don't have any current missions for you right now, so soon after getting me Yugito here to Konoha, and the very angry Raikage that is no doubt doing everything in his power to find out who took her," said Tsunade, as he knew that the Raikage would find out about Vergil eventually, but hopefully that wouldn't happen for a little while, and give the new Hokage a chance to prepare for the backlash. "If that's all, I'll be out training," said Vergil, as he turned around, and left while Tsunade just sighed from the fact that this was going to be a long term for her as Hokage. Elsewhere some time later, the female masked shinobi awoke with a start, looking around to find herself exactly where she was before falling asleep, and there was no sign of Konoha shinobi in the area. Picking up the large sword, the female masked shinobi soon headed for the perfect spot to find a certain silver-haired half-devil, and then kill him for what happened in Wave. Sensing her target, the female shinobi ran towards the half-devil, and with increased her grip on the large sword that once belonged to that special someone in her heart. Within moments of arriving at her destination, she saw Vergil sitting in the middle of the field in a meditative state, and looked completely unaware that his death would be soon upon him. "I must strike quickly. I will only have one shot at this." "For Zabuza-sama," thought the masked shinobi. As she dashed from the tree, she was on a blinding speed. Her sword was already arched back to swing, and take the head off the man she assumed was the one responsible for the death of her most precious person. The masked shinobi swung her large sword at Vergil, with her aim being dead on, but at the last second before victory was hers, the half-devil moved even faster, and ducked with the price being a few strands of hair, instead of his head. Vergil in turn rolled out of the way of his attacker's sword range, and unsheathed Yamato, ready to do battle with this new mysterious foe. "Who sent you to kill me? Was it IWA? Kumo perhaps?" said Vergil, as he saw the figure struggle for a moment to get up from her stance, and ready her sword for battle. "No one. I came here to kill you to avenge someone precious to me you killed," said the female shinobi, as she made Vergil raise an eyebrow before he frowned in thought at just who he killed outside of Konoha, and found the list surprisingly short. It was almost hard to believe that his kill count was mainly based right here in the leaf. "Can you tell me the name of the one I killed that was precious to you?" said Vergil, as he saw the woman brace herself before charging at him, swinging her sword in a wild yet still efficient manner, and Vergil moved around his attacker before kicking the girl away from him. "Zabuza-sama. You and your team killed Zabuza-sama," said the female shinobi, as she removed her mask and revealed to Vergil a face he had not seen since Wave. The face of a girl he thought had died. "Haku?" said Vergil, as he saw Haku crush her mask, and charge at him with her sword with fury in those eyes that once looked at him so gently. "I will avenge Zabuza-sama," yelled Haku, as called upon all her strength, her chakra, and rage to direct it at Vergil. In the time that Haku had died in Wave, she had been pushing herself despite her near-lethal injury, and waited until she felt the time was right to strike. It had not been easy to survive the Chidori, which should have, and would have killed her had it not been for the QB's demonic chakra that had flooded her system from her fight with the once blonde-haired boy. She had absorbed enough of it to defend Zabuza, but after being hit, Haku had instinctively used her bloodline to sustain herself in a crude near-death state, and after she digging herself out of the short grave that was next to Zabuza, she struggled to piece together what she had left of a life. Taking Zabuza's sword from the ground, Haku set out to train while healing, and pushing herself dangerously close to the edge each time. Yet Haku endured it for the sake of the desire to avenge the one that took her in, made her into a strong shinobi, and gave her a purpose besides withering away to dust in that snowy place in Water Country. She didn't know how Zabuza died, but she was certain it was due to fighting Team 7, and it was in her mind that because of the half-devil before her interfered in the fight midway through, that she was unable to do her duty to protect the demon of the mist. "I didn't kill Zabuza. He died after killing Dodo due to his injuries from Kakashi, and then later from the various thugs that got in a few lucky hits with their weapons of choice, said Vergil, as he once more danced with her in the way of the sword, and found her to be pretty good despite it being fueled by rage. I don't believe you, said Haku, as she spun the sword over her head, and tried to bring it down on Vergil before the half-devil moved to the side. How can I prove to you that I speak the truth, said Vergil, as he put away his sword, and saw Haku lift up the sword while struggling more in the process. By dying, said Haku, as she thrust the sword at Vergil, but the half-devil didn't move, and let the blade pierce his gut, and into the tree behind him. I hope this action helps, said Vergil, as he saw Haku stare at him in shock, and then the sheer realization at what she had done to him. The shock of it all opened Haku's mind, as she recalled the seconds before intercepting the Chidori, and seeing Zabuza weakened from his fight with Kakashi. The distant words of Dodo, the words Vergil spoke, and killer intent from Zabuza that was directed at the soon-to-be-dead businessman. The cries of the men that Dodo had hired, trying to slay her savior from years past, and then later on the distant shadow of Zabuza right in front of her downed face. She had been wrong. What have I done? Said Haku, as she looked at her hands, then Vergil's body, and she quickly moved to remove the sword from the boy's gut before she found her body falling on itself in pain. Her body had been overtaxed during the fight while simply going all out in a sword fight with Vergil, and the boy had willingly been gutted to prove what he spoke was the truth while pinned to the tree behind him. Haku tried to rise, reach out to him, and tell Vergil she was sorry for killing him in her blinded rage that transformed her once gentle soul into a raging demon. Instead, Haku collapsed into the darkness that came with losing consciousness, and could only wonder how she was going to live with herself when she awoke later. If there was a later. Konoha Hospital 2 days later. Haku awoke with a start. She found herself wearing a hospital gown, and felt the pain in her chest that had ached her since being hit by the attack months ago in Wave Country was no longer there. It was patched up with the mark itself almost non-existent, and Haku realized she had been healed by a skilled doctor. Awake I see, said Vergil, as he appeared from the corner of the wall, and saw Haku was surprised to see him stand there much less alive. It can't be. I killed you, said Haku, as it was more of a surprise than horror in her words that he had survived, and Vergil simply smirked at her. Perhaps you should be filled in on what I have become since we last met, so you can understand just how I survived your attack, said Vergil, as he sat on Haku's bed before telling her about the events that led up to his changes, and how her attack wouldn't have killed him like she originally thought it had. I'm glad you're not dead, Vergil-san, said Haku, as she felt the grief she felt from that leave her, but the guilt of attacking him remained, and found it hard to look at his handsome features. Same here, Haku-chan. Though it took some convincing for the Hokage to place you under my care considering how you tried to kill me for Zabuza's death. However, I told her that I would take full responsibility and place you in my care, said Vergil, as he saw Haku look at him with surprise, and was moved that he was to take her in even after all that she had done. Does anyone outside of your Hokage know about me? Said Haku, as she knew that if the village learned of her bloodline, they would most likely use her for breeding, and she didn't want that. No, not yet anyway. As far as anyone knows, you're just a Jane Doe that woke up from an attack by bandits I saved you from, and the sword was going to a sword specialist for appraisal, said Vergil, as he took the sword to his home for safekeeping, and told the other 3 girls what happened. Vergil had to give all 3 of them a fierce commanding order not kill Haku, as they didn't like the fact the ice-using girl had tried to kill the half-devil, and were a little put off that the young Namikaze wanted to bring her into his home. If that is the case, then I would like to become a citizen and shinobi of Konoha, said Haku, as she had no other place to go, and Vergil was the only person outside of Zabuza who was kind to her. I had figured you would, which is why when you are fully healed, we're going to see the Hokage about making it official, and put you under my clan's protection to ensure that the councils don't try to use you for simple breeding purposes, said Vergil, as he saw Haku brighten at being with Vergil, and then hugged him to show her appreciation. Thank you, Vergil-kun, said Haku, as she blushed when using that suffix, and felt safe while pressed against his lean, muscled body. You're welcome, Haku-chan. Get some rest so you can get out of this place sooner, said Vergil before kissing her on the forehead and left a now cherry-red-faced Haku in the room. Vergil turned the corner to find Sasuke and Sakura there waiting for him with a look from both that he didn't like. Picking up another slut to expand your demon clan, said Sakura, as she had seen Vergil come in with the girl, and did not recognize the ice user from Wave Country. Not even Sasuke did, but the boy did feel he knew Haku from somewhere and intended to get answers. You're one to talk Haruno considering your whole family was made from them, said Vergil, as he saw Sakura bristle with rage at that, and wanted to pound the half-devil into nothing. Forget her for a moment, you loser. Fight me, said Sasuke, as he had been itching for a fight, and wanted to prove that the Uchiha clan was the strongest. I have not the time nor the patience to fight such a weak creature such as you, said Vergil, as he saw Sasuke look at him furiously, and activate his Sharingan eyes. I'm not telling you loser. I'm commanding you to fight me, said Sasuke, as he tried to use the power of his eyes to influence Vergil. But all it did was make Vergil scowl at him, and upset the half-devil. You? Commanding me? Uchiha, I am a Chunin and you are still a Genin. If anyone has the power to command you at this moment, it's me, said Vergil, as he saw Sasuke scowl at him, and tried further before the half-devil closed his eyes while laughing at the Uchiha's attempts. Don't bother trying to use your eyes on me, Uchiha. You have neither the power nor the skill to use them for the effect you desire, said Vergil, as he turned around to walk away and leave the angry Uchiha with his #1 fangirl. Fight me or I'll use my eyes on that naughty girl you just visited to make her my little pet, said Sasuke, as he saw Vergil stop and look at him with deadly blue eyes. Where? Said Vergil, as he saw Sasuke smirk and kept his temper in check. Barely kept it in check. The hospital roof, said Sasuke, as he ignored Sakura's support and the growing killer intent that the half-devil was slowly producing. Really? Shame. Such a fight that would be considered worthy of an Uchiha. But with no one around to see you fall and die like the weak little naughty girl you are, said Vergil, as he saw Sasuke glare at him with all his hate, and Vergil found it amusing to say the least. Hospital roof moments later. Be prepared to enjoy the feeling of defeat at my hands, loser, since this will be one of the many times this happens, said Sasuke, as he got into fighting stance, and Vergil drew his sword. No, it won't. This is a fight to the death, said Vergil, as he had lost all form of patience for the stupid Uchiha, and had no problems removing this power-hungry fool from the world. Besides, the Kyuubi told him about the Uchiha clan, and how they were a corrupt batch of humans, even by demon standards. What? You can't fight Sasuke-kun with the intent to kill Vergil Baka. This is a simple spar, said Sakura, as she saw Sasuke narrow his eyes and Vergil crack his neck. Shut up, Sakura, said Sasuke, as he had no problem with that, and looked forward to taking everything from Vergil once the half-devil was dead. Yes, do shut up. As you can see, Sasuke does wish to fight me in a death match, and who am I to deny his own death warrant being signed, said Vergil, as he smirking at the verbal jab he launched at the angry Uchiha, who was hating the feeling of having his ego bruised, and wasted no time in trying to move in quickly for the kill with a kunai in hand. Vergil easily blocked the attack, holding it steady with his sword pointing down before delivering a sweeping kick and cut the ground out from Sasuke. The Uchiha rolled back to land on his feet before leaping back and perform hand signs for of his clan's fire jutsus that they specialized in. Fire style, great fireball jutsu, said Sasuke, as he launched the attack at Vergil, who lazily spun Yamato in a circle, and dispelled the ball of fire before slashing at the large water tank supports Tachi right of Sasuke with the invisible attack causing the water tank to fall on the Uchiha. Sasuke managed to get out of the way in terms of being crushed, but the water sent the arrogant shinobi into the fence that surrounded the roof, and saw Vergil waiting for him to get up with a bored look on the half-devil's face. Sasuke became angry at this, as he was not about to be pushed around by this weak so-called Namikaze, and needed to find a way to kill this inferior creature before him. Your actions are pathetic, Sasuke. I imagine Itachi would be displeased by your behavior in all of this, said Vergil, as he knew how Itachi was a sore subject for him, and made the last Uchiha become infuriated by it. Shut up. You think you're so great when all that makes you powerful is that demon blood running through your body, said Sasuke, as he went through hand signs and formed the Chidori with the full intention of kill Vergil with it. The same can be said for your clan's eyes. However, unlike your eyes, my power does not come entirely from my demonic blood, but rather my spirit, and how it stays pure despite my heritage. You, on the other hand, are not pure in either aspect, and like your brother, must be dealt with accordingly, said Vergil, as he put away his sword and activated Grim Reaper in his right arm. The only one who is going to kill Itachi is me, said Sasuke, as he charged at Vergil with the intent to kill clearly seen in his eyes, and Vergil waiting patiently for the single moment in which to strike. It never came, however, as Kakashi interfered at the last moment, and threw the Uchiha away into the second water tank. Care to explain yourselves? Said Kakashi as he looked at Sasuke, and then at Vergil now turning his arm back to normal. Vergil Baka tried to kill Sasuke-kun, said Sakura, as she saw Vergil look directly at Kakashi, and then at Sasuke getting up from his position. Considering Sasuke was trying to use your prized jutsu on me, Hitaki, I think we both know that's a load of crap, and that you should keep a stronger leash on your student, said Vergil, as he saw Kakashi wince at that, and saw Sasuke walk up to them while glaring at the half-devil. The councils will punish you for this, said Sasuke, as he would file a complaint with the councils, and get what he wanted from Vergil using the laws of the village. Hardly. You challenged me to a fight, and even agreed this would be a fight to the death. Or perhaps this recording device in my hand is lying? Said Vergil, as he showed a handheld recorder, and hit the play button for them to hear Sasuke's voice. Forget her for a moment, you loser. Fight me. I have not the time nor the patience to fight such a weak creature such as you. I'm not telling you loser. I'm commanding you to fight me. Vergil then hit the stop button. Still think I'll get in trouble? Said Vergil, as he saw Sasuke scowl at him, and walked away with Sakura telling him to admit that he was at fault. If I get my hands on that recording and destroy it, said Sasuke, but he was cut off by Kakashi, who put a hand on his shoulder and shook his head to make him stop that train of thought. Don't, Sasuke. By trying anything you will only provoke Vergil into attacking you and will most likely kill you for trying. Even if I report this now saying Vergil attacked you first, I would be proven wrong by that tape, and then both of us would be in trouble, said Kakashi, as he saw his student scowl at him before leaving the jounin, and Sakura behind to dwell in his own thoughts on the matter. Sasuke-kun wait, said Sakura, as she was stopped by Kakashi, and once again had to stop one of his students from doing something to make things worse. Let him go, Sakura. Even Sasuke needs to learn a little humility, said Kakashi, as he was getting this feeling that something was going to happen between his current student and a former one. Though even Kakashi had to admit he really never taught his former student much. But Sasuke-kun is an Uchiha, said Sakura, as she didn't understand how her crush and supposed one true love wasn't so perfect like she originally made him out to be. Yes, he is, but therein lies the problem. Think about it, Sakura. The traits of that clan are those who have too much pride and arrogance in them. They don't know the meaning of the word humility. Sasuke, especially since everyone has spoiled the boy, and your teammate needs to understand that there will always be someone more powerful than him, said Kakashi, as he could feel how his favoring of Sasuke was a betrayal to his sensei, and had cost him dearly. Sasuke doesn't need to be humbled. It's that damn demonic baka Vergil, who needs to be humbled, and I'm going to find a way to make it happen, said Sakura, as she stormed off to do just that, and make Vergil pay for trying to undermine her love. I'm sorry, sensei. I messed up with your son, and now I'm losing my other two students in the process, said Kakashi to himself, as he looked towards the Hokage monument, and wished his sensei was here now to guide him. Hyuga compound several hours later. Thank you for inviting me to your home, Hayashishama, said Vergil, as he had been told by a branch family member of the Hyuga clan to visit the compound, and speak to Hayashi himself regarding important interrelation-based business between the clans. You're welcome, Vergil-sama. I know you are busy with your new Chunin rank, and the various missions you have to take at the behest of our new Hokage. I have been going through some old scrolls set back right before you were born and found one containing an arranged marriage contract, said Hayashi, as he saw Vergil's eyes widen at that, and saw the boy understanding. I take it the girl that was chosen is Hinata-chan, said Vergil, as he knew the girl was crazy for him, and this would make the girl's dreams come true. Yes. I assume you're aware of her feelings for you, said Hayashi, as he saw Vergil nod, and was glad that the boy wasn't rejecting the idea of marrying Hinata. Of course. She is precious to me. I won't deny that your clan's history has me quite upset inside, and the fact that Hinata was the center of a brutal blood feud did not help still my own opinions of you, said Vergil, as he had been quite angry with Niji over what had happened to Hinata, and the fact that her own father let things get so bad was making the half-devil's blood stir. I know all too well the sins I committed in this house against my own family. You must understand, the ways of my clan are old, and are the traditions of the paranoid. I have wanted to change things in my clan for so long, but the rules within this clan seem to be unbendable, and the Hyuga elders are too fixed on the old ways to remotely consider changing things for the better, said Hayashi, as he had tried in secret to help his children along with Niji after Hisashi died, but failed at every turn, and felt powerless to stop the growing divide between the two-sided of the family from growing. If the clan laws will not bend, then perhaps you should break them, and in more ways than one, said Vergil, as he gave Hayashi a meaningful stare, and the Hyuga head's eyes widened at the hidden meaning. That is a dangerous alternative, said Hayashi as he saw Vergil nod, but the resolve did not leave the half-devil, and saw those blue eyes look to his right to see Hinata peeking out at him from the shadows for the room. So is having a divided family that cannot stand together like a true family should. If the family is to really be free, then everyone should wear a seal on themselves to protect the Hyuga bloodline. If they won't, then stop the practice all at once, and wait for the day that someone actually succeeds in taking it from you. Yakumo does not need to capture a main family member. If one goes out on a mission, and a branch family can easily give away the bloodline via their seed to an unsuspecting female Yakumo shinobi, said Vergil, as he saw Hayashi nod at this, and knew that all members of the Hyuga clan that went on long-term missions far away from the Leaf were branch family. The Hyuga elders never considered Yakumo may try to use a branch member in such a way without the man even knowing it. Again, you have raised a valid point, Vergil-sama, and I agree with you. I will speak to Sarutobi and the Hokage about this before I do anything. Can I count on you to help in this matter if I were to make the request? Said Hayashi, as he saw Vergil nod, and then turn his head to Hinata to find her letting out an eep before coming out of her hiding spot. Hello, Hinata-chan. Spying on me as usual? Said Vergil, as he saw Hinata blush red in embarrassment, and nodded much to her own father's embarrassment. I told Hinata about the marriage contract not that long ago. She must have just recently awakened after fainting not that long ago, said Hayashi, as he saw his daughter look down shyly with her entire face red while trying to look at Vergil with some form of courage, and had to look away after catching a glimpse of his smile. I'm sorry about that, father, said Hinata, as she had felt her fainting at the news was seen like some form of shame upon him and the Hyuga clan. There is nothing to be sorry about, Hinata. You are very much like your mother, and after what happened when you were 3 years old, said Hayashi, as he saw Hinata look sad at that memory, and wished she had been stronger. I will try to continue getting stronger, father, said Hinata, as she saw her father nod, and so did Vergil in approval of her resolve. I know you will, Hinata, but I'm afraid you can't do it here due to the prying eyes of the Hyuga elders, and you will need to train elsewhere to do so, said Hayashi, as he saw Hinata look at him in shock, and Vergil was raising an eyebrow at the Hyuga head. "Where will I go to get stronger?" said Hinata, as she was so shocked by this news that the stuttering had left her, and her father looked over at Vergil as if he was the answer. "The Namake's estates. Since you and Vergil-sama are to married, I think it's only fair that you move into his home to learn as much as possible," said Hayashi, as he saw his daughter's face light up like she was the sun itself, and let out a fangirl-like squeal before fainting at the realization of what she had just done. "Hinata's fainting may become a habit in your home for a time," said Hayashi, as he saw Hinata's happy face glowing on the floor and Vergil picking her up to take back with him to the Namake's estates. "I'll send some clones here later to get her things," said Vergil before walking out of the room with a smiling Hayashi being the only one in it. Namake's training ground several weeks later. Hinata was having the time of her life training with Vergil, as he had given her such positive lessons in the ways of her gentle fist style, and pointed out that the traditional style from the clan was not for her. Instead, he suggested a more fluid and flexible style of the gentle fist be developed to better suit her growing figure. After a good fainting spell from that last part, Hinata awoke to do just that, and began to work on the new gentle fist style with increased vigor. As for Vergil himself, he was happy to see Hinata grow so much in just a few days, and not just in terms of training either. Hinata was a little shocked in seeing Kin and Tayuya being his slaves along with Yugito living at his home. At first, Hinata was nervous around the older girl because of the past regarding Kyumo, but Yugito told the former Hyuga heiress that she hated Kyumo for treating her like a weapon, and wanted to be her friend. "You're doing well, Hinata-chan," said Vergil, as he saw Hinata on the water of a small pond that was part of the training ground, and saw her manipulating the water, with Haku being the girl sensei in regards to water affinity. "Thank you, Vergil-kun, but the praise should go to Haku-sensei," said Hinata, as she was mixing her water affinity to that of her new gentle fist style, and was perfecting the new technique with the other girl. In truth, the two felt like long-lost sisters, and bonded right away upon meeting each other despite what Haku had done not that long ago to Vergil. The other girls didn't like that either, but Vergil assured them that what happened would not be a repeatable thing, and they trusted the half-devil knowing he wouldn't take Haku in unless he was sure. "I only laid out the idea, Hinata-chan. The rest you did on your own," said Haku, as she saw Hinata blush at the praise, and saw Vergil smile before his face became serious. "We have uninvited guests," said Vergil, as he saw Haku get ready to fight, and Hinata did as well. "Who is it?" said Haku, as she sensed them now, and saw Hinata using her Byakugan before gasping when she saw them. "It's Uchiha Itachi and another much taller person that seems to look like some kind of shark or fish," said Hinata, as she became nervous since she knew she was no match for Uchiha Itachi, much less his supposed partner. But she couldn't just leave Vergil to face them alone, and willed herself to hold her ground. "Hashigaki Kisame. Zabuza-sama showed me his face in the bingo book and told me that was one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist like himself," said Haku, as she now had a reason to be worried since Kisame was stronger than Zabuza, but would not let that stop her from fighting beside her Vergil-sama and destroying the man she cared about. "Namake's Vergil, you are coming with us," said Itachi in a bored voice while Kisame just grinned at him and readied to use his sword. "And if I refuse?" said Vergil, as he saw Itachi narrow his eyes, and Kisame looked like he was going to get a birthday gift early. "Then we will make you," said Itachi, as he made a near-invisible hand motion to Kisame to move forward, and the shark-like man took out his trusty Samahata to use against the half-devil. "Fortunately for you, we need you alive, so I'll just take your legs off," said Kisame, as he saw Vergil unsheath Yamato and look at him with a look that could rival Itachi's own. "Come. So I can you," said Vergil, as he looked at Itachi for a second before looking at Kisame and saw the shark man charge at him. The two swordsmen clashed with Vergil surprisingly holding his own against Kisame's monstrous strength, and the half-devil merely raised an eyebrow at the shark man. "He's mocking me," thought Kisame, as he unleashed a powerful swing that Vergil was able to block while skidding slightly when absorbing the blocked blow from Samahata, and saw the half-devil add a smirk to his face. "Is that it? Is that all the power you have? If you're holding back, then don't. It's insulting to the spirit of the title 7 swordsman of the mist and to me," said Vergil, as he saw Kisame snarl at him at the choice of words used, and began fighting more aggressively with using more complex sword techniques to push the half-devil back. "Stop playing, Kisame. We have little time to attack before Konoha shinobi arrive, and I would prefer not to fight them considering so many high-level shinobi are currently in the village," said Itachi, as he looked at Hinata, and then at Haku with both girls on edge should he attack them. "Shut up," said Kisame angrily, as he preferred not to have backseat fighting from Itachi despite his respect for the Uchiha, and was finding Vergil was not weak like reports that had originally told them so. Itachi, however, was being more practical about this, as he sensed the chakra signatures of various Umbu coming this way, and their time here was running out. Moving quickly, the Uchiha clan destroyer went after Hinata, who acted quickly when she sensed him behind her, and spun around to strike Itachi with her new gentle fist style. It would have worked had Itachi not moved faster than her, while using his Sharingan to prevent Hinata from hitting dead-on. Sensing an attack to his right, Itachi caught several Sunbon needles shot at him by Haku, and would have used his Sharingan on her if it weren't for the fact that her past experience with it was preventing him from doing so. "So this one is fighting me without her eyes," That's clever. She must have fought Sasuke, or perhaps Hatake Kakashi to come up with that idea, thought Itachi, as he leaped back to prevent another gentle fist attack while letting go of Hinata, and keeping his distance between the two. A scream of pain directed him to Kisame on his knees after Vergil had outfought him and sliced at the tendons with Yamato. Frowning, Itachi moved to prevent Kisame's demise by blocking Vergil's sword with his own, and was able to hold the half-devil long enough for Kisame to get up to strike. However, Vergil saw it coming, and leaped back to break the deadlock along with dodging the swing of Kisame's sword. Let's see what Grim Reaper can really do, thought Vergil, as he sheathed his sword, and brought out his new devil power. The Umbu are nearly here in Kisame. We need to leave. Now, said Itachi, as he saw his partner grimace, and then snarl at Vergil. You got lucky, kid, said Kisame, as he runs off with Itachi, but with a noticeable limp, and his sword having been used to support him in the struggle. You are not going anywhere, said Haku, as she created ice mirrors in front of them, and threw sunbon needles at Kisame's shoulders to further disable him while Itachi was hit in his left arm. Shit, said Kisame, as he felt his body suffering from the attack, and Itachi was finding himself being pushed to use other means of escape. Time to die, said Vergil, as he prepared to slay Itachi and Kisame in quick succession of moves. I'm sorry, Kisame, but I need to cut you loose, said Itachi, as he leaped over Vergil, and began to flee with the squad of Umbu moving in to flank him in the attempt to stop his escape, only to be blocked by a blast of intense black fire hitting the ground courtesy of the Uchiha's Sharingan eyes. Yeah, I know. Come on, boy. Don't keep me waiting, said Kisame, as he struggled to move, and saw Haku readying another barrage of sunbon needles when Vergil raised his left hand to tell her to stop. You show great pride in wanting to fight to the death, Hoshigaki Kisame. Farewell, said Vergil, as he charged at Kisame with the Akatsuki member doing the same, and after a flash of light passed between them when they clashed. It was Kisame who fell to his knees before his head left his body. Turning to see the Umbu team returning after failing to capture Itachi, Vergil saw Hinata was okay, but looked disappointed in herself, and the half-devil could understand why. Hinata was trying to prove she wasn't weak, yet she barely held her own against Itachi, and had done little in terms of fighting. Walking over to the Hyuga girl, Vergil wrapped his arms around the shocked and now blushing girl, finding reassurance from his very presence. I'm still weak, said Hinata, into his chest, and she loved how he stroked her hair in a manner that a husband would for his wife. Everyone is weak starting out with Hinata-chan. I was too, remember? We just have to push ourselves each day to our limits and beyond. Your time will come, Hinata-chan, where you will be able to show just how strong you are, and I only wish that when that day does happen, I'm able to see it, said Vergil, as he kissed her forehead and rubbed her back in a way that made the Hyuga heiress shiver with pleasure. I want to get stronger, said Hinata in a determined voice despite the pleasure she felt from his touch. And you will. Trust me, said Vergil, as he turned his head to see Haku walk up to them, but unsure if she was allowed to be a part of this moment, and was quite envious of the Hyuga girl right now. What will happen with Kisame's sword? If from what Zabuza-sama told me is true, then it will only obey someone like Kisame, and has strong defenses against anyone else that tries to wield it, said Haku, as she saw Vergil look on in thought before looking at the blade in question, and then moved to pick it up much to the shock of the girls. Surprisingly, the half-devil was able to pick it up without any kind of defense preventing him from holding it, and seemed to be deep in thought. I think, what we have here, Haku-chan, is a trophy, said Vergil, as he wondered if that would be the correct term for that, and turned to face the girls. And Kisame's head being more than enough proof for the Mizukage and mist that you were the one who killed him, said Tsunade, as she appeared with Jiraiya, and saw the dead body, and Vergil holding the dead man's weapon. Itachi got away, said Vergil, as he saw Tsunade nod, but Jiraiya frowned like he wanted to say something, and yet held his tongue on the matter. Don't worry, you'll get him next time, Gaki, said Tsunade, as she saw him nod, and walk back into the house with the girls, and then turned to Jiraiya. What? Said Jiraiya, as he saw the look she was giving him, and knew it was the talk or I hurt you then you talk look that spoke of no resistance. You know perfectly well the Umbu could have gotten there sooner, but you wanted me to delay the order, and I doubt it was to see our godson fight. So spill it, said Tsunade, as she saw Jiraiya nod his head before motioning her to follow him into the Namikaze estates. Vergil needs to hear this too. Come on, said Jiraiya, as he saw Tsunade look at him with some surprise, and followed him into the Namikaze estates. Sorry about this again, but the pervert has to tell you something regarding Itachi, said Tsunade, as she saw Vergil put Samahata on his new trophy room wall before turning around with a raised eyebrow, and then a glare at Jiraiya. Something that you failed to talk to me about regarding Itachi team, O wise Arosenin? Said Vergil, as he saw the man grumble a few choice words, but stopped when he was glared at by the half-devil, and Tsunade currently cracking her knuckles to make him talk faster. Okay. Uchiha Itachi is not just a member of Akatsuki, but rather he's my secret informant within the organization, and provides me with detailed information on all their activities, said Jiraiya, as he saw the shocked looks on the two in front of him, and the scowl on Tsunade's face was not something he wanted to see anytime soon. Who else knows about this? Said Tsunade, as the only in Konoha who could have even approved of this was Sarutobi, but then he would have approved the Uchiha massacre, and that was not her sensei's ways of doing things. Just Sarutobi-sensei. The Shinobi Council went behind his back and gave the order for him to kill his clan. Officially, the order regarding Uchiha Itachi is to kill on sight, but unofficially he is to be let go and continue his work spying on Akatsuki, said Jiraiya, as he saw Tsunade look ready to punch him, and Vergil looked ready to use his demonic power to pound the man into paste. And you were going to tell me this bit of information. When, said Tsunade, as she felt that as the new Hokage she should be given all the details of certain things and deal with them accordingly like she was supposed to. Sorry Tsunade-heim, but Sarutobi-sensei didn't want you involved in this even before you were chosen to be the new Hokage, and felt that if you knew would make Itachi come back to reveal everything. As for you Vergil, it was actually thanks to Itachi's betrayal to the Uchiha clan that he was able to leverage the councils off of you when you were younger, and get them off topic for using you for a weapon like Danzo wants you to be, said Jiraiya, as he had been informed of this by his spy network, and saw the angry look in Vergil's eyes. And the old man doesn't have them all secretly killed, why exactly? Said Vergil, as he was finding the idea of gutting the stupid pricks to be a very good idea, and saw Haku was thinking along the same lines as him. You know how he is Vergil. Sensei was getting soft in his old age. By taking them out, he essentially would have crippled the internal government in the village for a time. And he didn't have the strength to hold Konoha together while it was being properly fixed with all that was happening around him, said Jiraiya, as he saw the anger in Vergil's eyes leave a little, and was thinking of how to deal with them in a more permanent manner. Why did the Shinobi Council order such an act in the first place, said Tsunade, as she felt that those old morons were going to get it, and not in a good way either. Because the Shinobi Council, as well as Sarutobi-sensei, learned from Itachi himself that the Uchiha clan was planning to take over and turn our godson into a mindless weapon if not a prized pet to have on a tight leash, said Jiraiya, as he saw Tsunade's eyes widen, and so did Vergil's with killer intent coming out from both of them. I thought Danzo wanted Vergil to be the village's prized weapon? What caused the brief change in his heart, said Tsunade, as she saw Jiraiya frown at her and shake his head like she didn't get it. Danzo did, or rather still does, want Vergil to be the village's main weapon. However, the Uchiha clan was going to ruin it by making Vergil the Uchiha clan's weapon instead of the village's, and Danzo has never been one to share power unless it was absolutely necessary. Sarutobi-sensei tried to be diplomatic, but the Shinobi Council preferred that the sword be used and gave the order for Itachi to do it. About 2 to 3 weeks after the event, Itachi somehow made contact with my spy network and requested a private audience with yours truly, so he could tell his side of the story. He wouldn't tell me everything, but Itachi did give the reason behind the attack, and I told Sensei so he could use it against the others in the near future, said Jiraiya, as he saw Tsunade nod and Vergil doing the same. Such a threat over them would have been void if the old man were slain by Orochimaru, which means had the third Hokage died, they could have had near complete control of the village until a new Hokage was chosen. And we all know that Tsunade was not the only choice, said Vergil, as he saw Jiraiya nod, and Tsunade going pale at the thought of her grandfather's village being ruined by some baka like Danzo or possibly Danzo himself. Which is why we're glad you were able to stop the foreseeable from happening, said Jiraiya, as he pointed to Tsunade, and the woman nodded in agreement. That was only possible because of my ancestors' power awakening. Due to my lack of training from the academy, my former sensei, and let's not forget you my oh so dear godparents, I was barely able to handle things before. I had to train myself in all aspects of things regarding the shinobi world, said Vergil, making the two wince and look away with guilt written on their faces. Damn Gaki and his guilt trips, thought Jiraiya and Tsunade, as they knew Vergil was not going to drop the subject anytime soon. Why wasn't anyone even told about the Uchiha's attempts at betrayal? It could have prevented the village from spoiling Sasuke, said Vergil, as he hated how everyone was fawning over Sasuke and treating him as if he was a hero. Because the Shinobi Council didn't want Itachi being the only holder of the Sharingan, the chance that Sasuke would leave the village if he was treated like you. And they were also hoping that Sasuke could rebuild the Uchiha clan under their image, said Jiraiya, as he saw Vergil shake his head and had a face filled with anger. Then I will have to disappoint everyone who has a particular stake in the Uchiha clan's revival and simply eliminate all three of them, said Vergil with his godparents looking at him like he was crazy. 3? There are only 2 Uchiha left, said Tsunade, as she saw Vergil shake his head and pointed to his stomach where the Kyuubi once resided. The Kyuubi was summoned by one Uchiha Madara many years ago when fighting your grandfather Tsunade, and then again 13 years ago to destroy Konoha. There is no other Uchiha with the power to do so, and Kyuubi himself told me before my transformation, said Vergil, as he saw the shocked looks on his godparents, and Tsunade trying hard to understand that her grandfather's greatest foe was still alive. How is that possible? Madara would be older than Sensei. Nearly twice his age in fact, said Tsunade, as she wondered how could that foul creature even be alive and still have the power to summon Kyuubi after all this time. From what Kyuubi told me, it has something to do with the Uchiha's eyes, and then replacing them with that of another's. In Madara's case, his own brother's eyes, said Vergil, making his godparents now have their jaws dropping, and was quite funny if this wasn't so serious. That explains some things, but do you really have to kill Itachi? Said Jiraiya, as he felt that Itachi was getting the short end of the stick and didn't know how the Uchiha prodigy would take it. Yes, all the remaining members of the Uchiha clan must be killed, or else this will just continue down the road when the opportunity presents itself, since Madara has no time limit thanks to his eyes, said Vergil, as he saw them nod in understanding, and wished that it didn't have to be that way. Okay, if it can't be helped, then I guess they will have to die, but you will need a valid reason for Sasuke since the village still loves him so much, and unless he betrays the village like Itachi officially did, said Jiraiya, as he looked to his right and saw the girls spying on them. Girls, if you wanted to overhear the conversation, you didn't have to spy on me to do it, said Vergil, as he overheard an eep, some swearing, which would result in a red head of the group being punished later, and an apology from his first slave along with 2 of the girls under his clan's protection. How much did you overhear? Said Tsunade, as she glared at them, and saw them all looking away from it like a child being caught from doing something bad. Just about everything, said Yugito, as she looked at Vergil with an apologetic look and saw he was fine with it. It's probably best if they know about this anyway. Haku here knows how to handle the main powers of the Sharingan after seeing Hitaki in action fighting Zabuza. She could probably help teach Madogai a few things about the Sharingan, and he can pass it on to Lee for future use, said Vergil, as he saw Haku blush at his praise, and the glare from the other girls from getting such praise. I'll have her come to my office later, and she can write out all the details regarding how to defeat the Sharingan's primary abilities, said Tsunade, as she knew Kakashi would protest this, and claim that such things were treasonous against Sasuke. Good. Now if that is all, I'm going eat some lunch with the girls here, and enjoy the rest of the day off, said Vergil, as he basically ended the meeting, and went with the now blushing girls to the kitchen to eat. Damn it! Why can't I have that luck, said Jiraiya, as he was getting the urge to write this down in his research book, and use it for his next Ika Paradise book. Shut up, Arobaka. You're lucky we're not somewhere else, or I'd skin you alive, said Tsunade as she made a fist and made a warning motion not to piss her off. But you can't so tough shit to you old flat chest, said Jiraiya, as he grinned at the rage Tsunade was producing, and it took all her restraint in not smashing the super pervert to little tiny pieces. Ow! I'm sorry I cursed for spying on your meeting, Vergil-sama. Please don't spank me again, yelled Tayuya, as her voice carried from the kitchen to the other room, and made Jiraiya get a nosebleed that shot him out the door of the Namake's estates, and become an open game in being hurt by Tsunade. When Jiraiya came to from his nosebleed, the first thing he saw was Tsunade looking down at him with an evil grin on her face, and she was cracking her knuckles extra loud to emphasize how much she was going to enjoy this. Now Tsunade-heim, let's not be too hasty, and hurting someone you care about. Have I ever told you how beautiful you look with the sun behind you and how it gives you a goddess-like appeal, said Jiraiya, as he always knew this was how he was going to die, and regretted nothing from it. I know it does, but I'm still going to hurt you, and even more for that flat chest remark, said Tsunade, as her eyes were blazed with anger, and made Jiraiya feel less of a man at the moment. But I thought women liked it when men tell them the truth, said Jiraiya, as he gave a nervous laugh, and it turned into a girlish scream when Tsunade roared in anger like a demon before attacking without mercy. Inside the Namake's estates, Vergil along with the other girls in the kitchen were hearing Jiraiya's screams, and how he was sorry for calling her a flat chest. Many wondered how the super pervert survived this long, and suspected it was some kind of bloodline limit he secretly possessed. If it wasn't for the fact that the guy writes those dirty books, I would actually feel sorry for him, said Yugito, as she sipped some tea, and sighed at the liquid went down her throat. Oh, so the dirty orange books you secretly have stashed away in your room upstairs are okay to have? What would Vergil-kun think of that? Said Nibby, as she saw her vessel blush a shade of red, and tried to ignore the smug look the demon cat had right now. Shut up. I've only read certain parts of them for ideas for when Vergil-kun and I make love, thought Yugito, as she wasn't going to read all the stuff in the book and become a full-blown pervert. Can I get up now? Yelled Tayuya, as she was being used at the moment as Vergil's chair right now with her undressed still red base being exposed, and was finding it hard not to curse now, so she had found herself yelling instead. Not yet. Think of it as training, said Vergil, as he slapped her rear with his hand, and sensed Tayuya wanted to curse so much right now. Training my sore red ass, thought Tayuya, as she glared at Kin, smirking slightly since she was sitting next to Vergil, and knew her fellow slave was eating this up inside. Chapter 6 Evening the Score. Vergil whimpered in his bed, as he felt a most pleasurable feeling in between his legs, and had an idea of the source of it all. Haku, the young female ice user, came into his room last night, as the other girls were currently in separate beds with his slaves, and Yugito being too tired from their previous time with each other to do anything. Hinata wanted to be intimate with him, of course, but she was still too nervous in doing something with him, and Vergil had told the still shy girl when she was ready for such a moment she would know. As for Haku, after she came into his room, the young girl disrobed in front of him and begged him to make love to her, as if it would be an apology on a physical level, and in addition would be an expression of her love for the half-devil. Vergil for his part hugged the now crying woman, as she embraced him, kissing his chest while he spoke soothing words, and told Haku that she didn't need to apologize for what she did. Kissing her jawline, Vergil had asked Haku if this was what she, apologizing aside, wanted, and the woman had smiled at him before whispering a soft, fragile yes to him. So for that entire night, Vergil made love to Haku with all the passion that his body could possess, and made the young female ice user scream out in pleasure. And now here they were, the next morning with Vergil waking up to the feeling of Haku pleasing his black rod with her mouth, and bringing him to the brink of untold bliss. "Haku-chan," said Vergil, as he came into Haku's mouth, and heard the girl drink his released juice down before he felt her body move slowly up his form. "Good morning, Vergil-sama," said Haku, as she kissed his shoulder and wrapped her arms around his muscled body. "And a very good morning to you, Haku-chan. Though you don't have to say the sama suffix, as Kuin is much more affectionate, and I am not higher in rank than you either," said Vergil, as he wrapped his arms around Haku, and saw she was now grinding against his hips with her own. "I know, but you will always be Vergil-sama to me, and even more after last night," said Haku, as she licked his muscled chest and kissed his shoulder. "Well, when you put it like that," said Vergil, as he maneuvered his body and Haku so he was on top before going to work on her body. "Oh, Vergil-sama," said Haku, as she felt Vergil's right hand on her watermelon and felt his now fully straight black rod entering her once more. The two once again made love, not even caring that they were heard throughout the entire house, and giving the other female occupants of the Namikaze estates wicked nosebleeds in the process. Hokage's office at the moment. "Are you sure you want to do this, Hayashi-sama? The last time something of this caliber like this happened, it was with the Uchiha clan, and that caused an entire bloodline limit clan being reduced to a handful," said Tsunade, as she went over the situation with the man for the last hour, and wanted to know if he really wanted to go through with this. "I'm not asking for the entire clan to be destroyed by Hokage-sama, but rather the cancerous part of it, and it's only the clan elders. I've tried to be the family man my wife loved, but after she died, the influential power she wielded on it went back to them, and they hated the plans she had for changing things within the Hyuga clan for the better. I know I have played a part in my own children's suffering, but it was only meant to stop an even greater injustice that one of them would have to endure for the sake of the other, and I wish to make it up to them now," said Hayashi, as he had chosen the lesser of two evils, and hoped his two daughters understood this. "You have already talked this over with Vergil, which means it's quite clear you want him to perform the deed, and kill them all," said Tsunade, as she saw Hayashi nod, and knew that the man had promised full immunity for the boy after this was over. "I do. I'm not old by any means, but even I don't possess the skills needed to take down all the clan elders, and should I fail, the risk of my entire family being punished for such a thing would be considered a clan affair. By doing that, you would be unable to officially interfere and do anything to stop it," said Hayashi, as he needed someone who was young, strong, and had the skills to wipe out that cancerous section of his clan. "Very well. I'll let him know immediately what it is you want him to do, but no one else can know about this until the smoke clears, and things are further explained to everyone since the councils will stir up trouble," said Tsunade, as she knew they would claim the demon was interfering in clan business, and try to punish the silver-haired youth for it. "Understood, Hokage-sama. I will leave to inform Vergil of these events via messenger bird," said Hayashi, as he set out to put his plan into action, and unify the clan into a single whole. "Well, that's good. While he does that, I'm contacting Jiraiya to have him make a better and more friendlier version of the cage bird seal," thought Tsunade, as she contacted Shizen outside to send an entire squad of female Umbu to find Jiraiya, and to bring him to her office preferably alive. Conscious and still a man being optional. Konoha sometime later. Vergil sat on the Hokage monument looking down at the people below, as they talked, laughed, and enjoyed life that they had created for themselves. It sickened him to see them so happy, as they were still arrogant in the belief that they were untouchable to anyone, and felt they were blessed by Kami in cheating death. But as Vergil would soon make them realize, it wasn't a blessing from Kami that allowed them to live, but a curse granted by the Shinigami, and the instrument of such a thing being that of a devil. Quite fitting really, as the people needed to know that they were not what they believed themselves to be, and needed to be taught a valuable lesson in humility. In due time, of course. Vergil remembered how this happened, as it was after his long love-making session with Haku, he had showered, eaten breakfast, and read the message Hayashi had sent him via messenger bird. The news held within in it was of course quite grim, as was all the news regarding killing clan elders of a highly prestigious clan like the Hyugas were, and told him that not one of the old farts was to remain alive. The mission was to be carried out at night when Hayashi would call an emergency meeting to discuss special business that would ensure the survival of the Hyuga clan. Every one of the Hyuga clan elders would be there, as they would make sure that the special business would protect their interest within the Hyuga clan and their power to keep the branch family under their thumb. However, before Vergil did that, there were several other matters that needed to be taken care of, and one of them was right behind him. "Come on out, Hitaki. It's pointless to hide in the shadows," said Vergil, as he sensed the son of the white fan come out of his hiding spot, and looking at his former student with a grave look. "Hey Naruto, I suppose someone of your skills would be able to identify me no matter how good of a job I hid my presence," said Kakashi, as he saw Vergil look back at him slightly with cold blue eyes, and made the jounin nervous. "You wouldn't know that of course, as you spent so much time with Sasuke, and teaching him everything you knew while leaving me to rot with a special jounin that hated me," said Vergil, as he saw the guilty look in Kakashi's eyes, But it was nowhere near the look the half-devil wanted, and he wanted quite a bit from the man. Yeah, I'm really sorry, Naruto. Had I known you were Sensei's son, I would have, said Kakashi, as he saw Vergil turn fully towards him, and the look on the young man's face filled the Jounin with dread. So it's because I'm your Sensei's son that you are repenting to me? It shouldn't matter if I was his son or not, Hitaki. What should matter is that you had a student who wanted to learn, and you being his sensei should have taught him. Instead, you chose to teach a very spoiled, arrogant, power-hungry Uchiha. And for what? A debt you felt needed to be paid? Pathetic. Of course, that is not worst part of your crimes, is it, Hitaki? Said Vergil, as he saw the Jounin look nervous, and begin to take a few steps back while he took a few steps forward. I don't know why you mean, Naruto, said Kakashi, as he saw the steps Vergil was taking increasing, and closing the gap between them. Oh, you don't? So there was another leaf shinobi I saw when I was just 6 years old, who decided to test his Chidori out on me, and see just how good my healing powers really were, said Vergil, as he saw Hitaki now becoming very frightened, and quite frankly in the half-devil's mind. He should be. How does he know that? That was supposed to be erased from his mind by Inoichi after Yugao's Umbu unit found him, thought Kakashi, as he had been saved by the councils when he did that, and told him not to do it again with a pay cut along with missions out in the field to let him relieve such painful memories of QB that way. Surprised? You shouldn't be. After all, what I remembers, the fox remembers, and even if the old man had my memory wiped of that event. Do you really think the fox would not keep a backup of such a memory stored away for me to see at a later time? I even know that you even asked the old man to reconsider taking me into your team, saying that the Uchiha has more potential in his little pinky than I do in his whole demon body, with the third Hokage making you choose between taking me on as a student and giving up being a shinobi altogether. I was hiding in the vents above the old man, which allowed me to hear everything spoken. And I want to know right now if you remember what happened after he gave you that ultimatum, said Vergil, as he saw Kakashi looking increasingly nervous, and the guilt now pouring out of his one eye. Again, the guilt level wasn't there yet. I hesitated in my response because I believed that if I retired, I could possibly approach Sasuke and teach him privately with my Sharingan, said Kakashi, as he saw Vergil nod his head and his right hand forming into a fist. That's right. I was watching you. I couldn't believe you would think so lowly of me for just having the QB inside of my body. That you would throw away your shinobi career instead of training me with the other two Bakas on Team 7. Of course, you had to change your mind when the third Hokage mentioned that your little Sharingan would also be removed before you retired, and forced your hand to support his decision, said Vergil, as he saw Kakashi closing his eye and trying to block out the memory. Naruto, stop this. I'm sorry I abandoned you for Sasuke. I was, said Kakashi as he felt pain from within his very being, and it hurt more than anything he could imagine. My name isn't Naruto Yubaka. Don't call me that anymore. Uzumaki Naruto died and was reborn into Namake's Vergil, who now stands before you. A being, a devil, who will not submit to the ways of the arrogant and the sinful humans that stain the honor of their race, and they will be punished for what they have done to this world. For they are the true monsters and demons that plague us and need to be put down like the filth they are. Just like you, said Vergil, as he saw Kakashi crying out of both his eyes and collapsed to his knees wailing out like a little baby before going into fetal position like one. Okami, Minato, Rin, Obito, Father. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, said Kakashi, as he kept on crying while the guilt consumed his very being, and was left all alone now with Vergil leaving him to drown this. Drown in your guilt, Hitaki. Drown in it until you die and face your peers before they send you to hell, thought Vergil, as he let the man whimper out in sorrow, and destroy his spirit like the Jounin tried to do to him. Konoha's hospital sometime later. The once great third Hokage lay in his hospital bed, with tubes entering his body, and feeling weaker than he had ever been in his life. Vergil's words had haunted him since he had been placed in the bed, and the guilt for being so weak when the boy had needed him the most was eating him up inside. It couldn't get any worse. Hello, old man, said Vergil, as he walked into the room and saw the once great god of shinobi reduced to this. Vergil, said Hiruzen, as he saw the half-devil enter the room with fluid grace, and that damn sword in his left hand. Surprised to see me? No. I guess it's not really a surprise since one must always check up on certain investments such as yourself, said Vergil, as he walked over to the front of the man's bed, and looked at the retired Kage while studying him like this was the first time seeing him being old. Vergil, I know I wronged you when I denied you the love and the protection that should have been yours. I am sorry for that, said the retired third Hokage, as he saw the half-devil looking at the machines supporting his body. I'm sure you are sorry for a number of things, old man, but that doesn't mean anything if the person that you wronged chooses not to forgive you for them, said Vergil, as he put a hand on the plastic cord of his breathing system attached to his face to help the old man breathe. What are you going to do, said the third Hokage, as he saw Vergil look down at him, and felt those cold blue eyes looking at him like that of a scorned god. As I told you, Saratobi, you are an investment, my investment to be more exact, and after some time to think about you being my property, I had come to the realization that you are in fact a poor investment to have alive. Your grandson no longer wishes to idolize you, The strength you had in your prime physically, mentally, and spiritually is all dried up into what I see before me. I don't want you to be my investment anymore, Sarutobi, nor do I want to have you as my property, due to such low value. So the only real solution to this problem is to put you out of your misery, said Vergil, as he squeezed the oxygen tubes connected to the old man's face, and watched the once great third Hokage struggle to breath. Vergil, don't. Stop, said the retired third Hokage, as he grabbed the hand squeezing the tube, and was failing to break the demonic grip the boy had on it. No, old man. I won't stop. I can't stop. I'm going to kill every single one of my enemies, who have wronged me from past to present, and there is not a force on Kami's green earth that is going to stand in my way, said Vergil, as leaned down to whisper those words to the old Kage, and saw the man was slowly dying at his hands until at last, death claimed him. The once great third Hokage was dead. His spirit left his body not in a bang, but in a small whimper. A silent whimper. With his task complete, Vergil left the room long before the doctors, and the nurses came into the room to save the dead old man. Konoha streets. Vergil found himself walking among the village populace, the people not looking at him out of fear of looking directly into his cold eyes that only showed warmth to those most precious to him, and eyed the blade that could slay any life he wished to take. Many still thought he was a monster, a freak of nature, and believed that such monsters deserved to be trained to be obedient pets to do their bidding. These people could all burn in hell for all Vergil cared. Hey loser, said Sasuke, as he appeared in front of Vergil's line of sight, and looking ready for a fight. Speaking of people who could burn in hell for all he cared, Vergil stopped just a few feet in front of the black roadie-looking Uchiha, as he saw Sasuke was acting quite arrogant for a boy who got his base handed to him a few days ago and felt like the world owed him everything. What Sasuke deserved in Vergil's mind was Yamato shoved up his base and out his skull to be roasted in an open fire to be give to demons to eat. But that was just Vergil's opinion. What do you want, Uchiha? Said Vergil, as he sensed others of various shinobi levels just waiting in the distance, itching to attack him, and would do so once he deduced attacked the team. Your power, your women, and that sword you have in your left hand. Give them to me now and kneel before your betters in front of everyone here, said Sasuke, as he wanted Vergil to try something, and knew when he did all that he demanded of the half-devil would be his by right of laws of Konoha when punishing a clan that attacked another. I have a better idea. How about you go to a gay bar and pick up a rough trick named Jim for the night? If not, then commit seppuku, and leave me alone, said Vergil, as he now walked around the last Uchiha, who was looking less than pleased and had activated his prized Sharingan. I command you to give me everything you have from your clan right now, said Sasuke, as he used the hypnotic powers of his Sharingan and tried to make Vergil submit to him that way. You're a fool, Uchiha. You can no more influence me than you can command the sun to rise and to set in the sky, said Vergil, as he looked back and just stared at the shocked boy with a smirk on his face. Damn you, said Sasuke, as he took out a kunai and recklessly charged Vergil with the intent of make him submit in his own way. No, Uchiha Sasuke. I damn you, said Vergil, as he unsheathed Yamato and moved with lightning-fast speed before appearing behind the surprised boy. The next instant, Sasuke cried out in pain, as a horizontal scar appeared on the Uchiha's face where his line of sight was, and mere moments later his eyeballs exploded. Vergil then sheathed his blade, as he walked off with everyone now coming to the Uchiha's aid, and forgetting about the boy's attacker. Something that Vergil didn't mind since there would be a meeting about this soon enough with the councils to debate about his punishment. Hokage Tower, 2 hours later. What this monster did is unspeakable. I demand justice for the Uchiha clan, said the Haruno council member, as he was telling his daughter to be by Sasuke's side to win him over and convince him to marry his daughter. This monster, as you called me Haruno councilman, was provoked and attacked by your oh so precious Uchiha from the very beginning. Also, Yugao picked up the various shinobi, who were also conspiring with Sasuke to attack me if I had drawn my blade first by his feeble words, and merely defended myself when he drew a weapon against me, said Vergil, as he sat in the chair before them, and Tsunade looking at him with the same unreadable eyes he was giving them. Lies. Uchiha Sasuke would never stoop so low as to do something such as that, and I demand that reparation be made to the boy for what this demon did, said Koharu, as she glared at the boy, and hated his family from the beginning in wanting to change things in the leaf that would make her obsolete. Devil actually, but that's irrelevant at this point, and what is relevant at this point is that Uchiha Sasuke attacked first. I defended myself, as simple as that, and if you continue to push this you will find that according to Konoha's own laws regarding clan affairs then I am in right. Should you do anything that goes against those laws, then you will have no choice but to forfeit your once respectful positions, and leave my fate in the hands of people appointed by the Hokage herself, said Vergil, as he went over everything about clans, and what happened when such things happened with other parts of the Leaf's government interfering in clan affairs. At this moment, the two councils froze, and the clan heads hid the smirks that wanted to appear on their faces, knowing that Vergil had them by the balls. I think we can agree on something that will make everyone happy. Uchiha Sasuke will be punished by being confined to Konoha's hospital, where he will be healed by me, and go under a full psyche evaluation to determine when he can return to active duty. As for Namake's Vergil, I see no reason to punish him for defending himself, and is free to go provided that he understands not to make this a habit, said Tsunade, as she gave Vergil a look telling him not to do it again, and the half-devil just smirked before nodding. I have no problem with that, said Vergil, as he left after bowing to the Hokage, and kept the smirk on his face when he saw the two councils glaring at him. Hokage-sama, you must reconsider this decision. If the demon is becoming a nuisance and now believes he can do whatever he wants, it must be put on some kind of leash, said Hamura, as he saw the Hokage glaring at her advisors, and wasn't going to let them push her around like they did her sensei. Whatever I do regarding Vergil is entirely done at my discretion, and I will remind you, Hamura-san, that the boy is now the clan head of the Namikaze clan. Like the Uchiha, he gets leeway too, and unlike the Uchiha, I expect Vergil to stay loyal to the village even though he has every right to burn it down, said Tsunade, as she saw the two councils, and Danzo snarling at this since they felt that the boy should be put under their thumb, not breaking theirs. I will make the boy submit to me, and then I'll use him on you, Tsunade. Don't think for one single minute, I'll let you keep your position as Hokage. That title is mine, thought Danzo, as he had one of his hands wrapped around his cane, and had to be careful in planning his takeover of the leaf. Hyuga clan compound that night. The clan elders walked into the meeting room one by one, as they always did when it was time for a meeting to discuss the Hyuga clan's future, and a way to increase their influence on others. It was a sick power trip they had discovered and loved from the moment they were seduced by it. To influence others to do their will, to make rules that would support them over other, more commoner-based, and poorer people than them was like a drug they got hooked on. They had started out with the cage bird seal, as they made it first sound like a means to protect the Byakugan, and keep it within the clan, and make them the guardians of the Hyuga clan. Of course, they got volunteers right away from clan members, who thought this act would bring them honor and glory to their side of the family. To be the shield of the Hyuga clan and defender of their bloodline limit. What they got, however, was a life of slavery, humiliation, and a life of misery all wrapped up in one single seal on their foreheads that activated to cause them pain should they do anything to displease the main house. Of course, the cage bird seal got disapproval from everyone outside of the clan, who did not share their beliefs that such people should be marked into unofficial slavery and work their bodies to dust for those who have power like they did. Which was why they used the loophole of it being a clan affair to keep the Hokage and anyone else in Konoha's power base away from it. Finally, after they entered the council room of the clan compound, Hayashi came in last with a smile on his face, and behind him was, to their shock, Namikaze Vergil. After the silver half-devil entered, he shut the door, and then put a seal on it with his chakra, so only he could remove it. Hayashi-sama, what is the meaning of this? This demonic abomination has no right to be at this meeting, said Hayashi's father, who had long since been a strong supporter of the cage bird seal, and didn't even care his youngest of his twin sons had been branded with it. Actually, my father, I brought Vergil-sama here because he is the source of the Hyuga clan's changes that are going to be made, and a new more efficient seal will be made for all the Hyuga clan members, so we all protect the family bloodline, said Hayashi, as he saw the clan elders looking at him like had lost his mind, and was speaking blasphemy. What changes? There will be no changes to the Hyuga, as there is no need for them, and I refuse to live in a world where there are such changes, said Hayashi's father, who was now glaring at his son, and then at Vergil while the other clan elders nodding his head in agreement. I thought you might follow that belief, which is the reason why Vergil-sama is here, and to grant your very wish in leaving this world rather than see the Hyuga clan change into a fully united family, said Hayashi, as he saw them all go pale with fright, and called for the guards outside to save them. Nothing happened. The branch family will no longer serve tyrants like you. They know what is going to happen and want their children to be free from the future of enslavement that you would bring to them, said Vergil, as he unsheathed Yamato and attacked with deadly sword-swinging precision. The clan elders were dead within minutes, with Hayashi ending the life of his own father, who was trying to escape and had to get by his own son. A son who lost his brother at the hands of his father's idea of sacrificing the younger, by mere seconds. Of the two, just so the bloodline wouldn't be lost to Kumo, and to follow traditions that should have been removed long ago. It's finally over, said Hayashi, as he saw Vergil slay the last of the clan elders, and then sheath his sword before walking towards him. Yes, though before you start celebrating, I must depart before my presence is detected fully in your home, and rumors begin to spread about my involvement, said Vergil, as the branch family member involved in this changing of the guard were all sworn to silence, and with the promise of their families being among the first to have their seals removed in order for a new non-enslaving seal was made for everyone in the Hyuga clan. Then I will let you take your leave, said Hayashi, as he moved so Vergil could get to the door, and remove the seal before making his way silently out of the Hyuga compound. Now the only problem now was, who was going to clean this mess up? Chapter 7: Illusionary Behavior. Several days had gone by since the Hyuga elders had been killed by Vergil's hands, sword if you want to get technical, as the entire village was now talking about it, and rumors were flying everywhere. The branch family had attacked the Hyuga elders during a meeting after going mad at being enslaved by the cage bird seal. Another was Hayashi having gone made and done the deed himself, partially if truthful, to free his poor nephew Niji from their cruelty. And finally, the third rumor, and Vergil's favorite, Most accurate one thus far was the half-devil conspired with Hyuga Hayashi to remove them in exchange for his eldest daughter, so his youngest Hyuga Hanabi could take over as clan head in the future. Naturally, the two councils had a fit since the Hyuga clan elders put pressure on the clan head, and the clan head of the Hyuga clan under their control made things easier. But now that wasn't the case, as their power was lessened by this move, and they could not complain about it since Hayashi made it a Hyuga clan affair while admitting he helped take part in the murders. Hayashi also stated that the branch family, as well as the main family of the Hyuga clan, were behind him 100%, and would leave Konoha if the councils tried to press charges. Of course it was a bluff, but none of the council members would dare challenge such a declaration, and simply tried to glare at the two perpetrators to death. Shortly after that pointless meeting, the first ever female Hokage gave Vergil a mission scroll for another important in-house mission, but less sensitive to the one he did for Hayashi, and was actually connected to Yuhi Kurenai. Before joining Team 8, Kurenai had an apprentice like Mado Guy did with Lee, only for the young female Jounin. It was to specialize in genjutsu, and the name of the young girl chosen for apprenticeship was one Kurama Yakumo, a girl from a once major clan in Konoha. As the clan's power began to dwindle to that of a minor clan, and even they would possibly lose that status too if their bloodline didn't show promise soon. Yakumo did just that, as her potential with genjutsu was incredible to say the least. But unfortunately there was a small problem, and it was in the form of her body not meeting the physical requirements in being an active shinobi. Thus the reason why her father had begged the late third Hokage to have Kurenai train the girl and overcome this bump in the road in Yakumo's shinobi career like Guy was doing with Rock Lee, with the girl seeing Kurenai as an idol of sorts. However, Kurenai lacked the conviction Mado Guy did with his student, and told the poor girl to find another teacher, with the way she said it breaking the fragile girl's heart. Still, the female Kurama wasn't going to give up, and stated as such to Kurenai before she kept on trying. Then from what Vergil had been told by Kurenai herself, the Jounin sealed up Yakumo's powers with the approval to do so from the third Hokage after he learned of the secret behind the girl's genjutsu potential. But what the old Kage, as well as Kurenai herself, didn't realize was that this power took on a life of its own within Yakumo and broke out of the seal made to imprison it. Since then, the girl has been silently tucked away in one of the few clan homes the Kurama clan still possessed, and left there under careful Umbu supervision to do whatever her heart desire. So long as the desire didn't kill innocent people in a slow, gruesome fashion, like a certain snake woman does to Konoha prisoners. However, while that may have worked for the late third Hokage, it did not work for the current Hokage of the Leaf, and Tsunade ordered Vergil to deal with this himself. The female Hokage had, upon looking at the third Hokage's note on the girl, had come to believe that the genjutsu potential behind the Kurama clan's potential, that Ito was that of a demon that manifested itself on certain generations, and when its host didn't have necessary mental willpower to fight back against it at a young age. As such, Vergil was ordered to get close to Yakumo, find out if Ito was indeed a demon, and if so to neutralize the creature without hurting the girl, if she already wasn't completely consumed by it, and close this chapter of Konoha's history before it got out of control. Which was why the half-devil was currently standing outside of the Kurama Manor that was in the mountainous region of Konoha. The Umbu guards immediately appeared to stop him, but the young shinobi showed them orders from the Hokage telling them to let him pass, and they did just that, though Vergil sensed some form of pity for him in going to see Yakumo. Opening the door of the Kurama Manor, Vergil entered the girl's home, and saw it was dark inside with a sense of eeriness for all who entered. Like a haunted house, only with the person living it having the power to possibly create real ones using genjutsu, and then have them do far more damage than simply saying "Bo." You'd find more cheer in a graveyard on Halloween night, thought Vergil, as he walked through the house until he made his way to a single room where he sensed a single person within it, and saw the door was slightly open. It was as if the person inside was baiting a person's natural curiosity to peek inside to see into the room. That in Vergil sensed something demonic coming from the room too. Walking into the room, the half-devil saw Yakumo sitting in a chair in a dark room with a neutral smile on her face, as she was painting something in front of her, and didn't even bother to look at him. Narrowing his blue eyes at the girl, Vergil walked slowly over to her to see what it was the Yakumo was painting, and was surprised to see the form of Yuhi Kurenai being struck by something that hit her right in the chest where the heart was. Apparently, Yakumo didn't take rejection from her idol very well, and Vergil could see the wound of the Jounin's betrayal had made a clear impact on the girl's artistic views. When it came to painting, still, Vergil knew that Ito was the cause for these depressing paintings, and knew from what he sensed that they were indeed demonic in origin. His attention to the paintings in the room ended when he saw Yakumo had put away her most recently finished painting and turned to face him with a blank look on her face, right before they turned an eerie yellow. This was not Yakumo looking at him. "You have devil's blood in you," said Yakumo, as she looked Vergil up and down with her glowing eyes before letting out an unnatural raspy sound. "And you are a demon possessing and tormenting this girl. Show your true self. I know you don't need to cling to her body anymore in order to survive in the outside world like you have since her birth." "Doppelganger death void," said Vergil, as he knew thanks to QB exactly what kind of demon this was, and now saw Yakumo's body slump down before a shadowy form came out of it with the girl herself collapsing on the floor. "So, you figured it out. Not surprising since you are his descendant. Do you like the paintings? Said Death Void, as he let out a chuckle before drawing his sword, and took on Vergil's appearance that then changed into the Devil Trigger mode. Sort of. Though I don't think this girl is gothic or a gothic wannabe, said Vergil, as he drew his sword and saw him mimic his sword stance. Everyone is a critic these days. Though perhaps your taste in art is in your swordplay and you wish to paint a masterpiece. With your blood, said Death Void as he charged Vergil, swinging his blade violently against the half-devil, who countered with just as equally violent strikes against the shadow demon, and their blade echoing throughout the Kurama manor. You're good for a copycat. Are you sure you're not related to the Uchiha clan or that Team Hitaki Kakashi? Said Vergil as he deadlocked his blade, then pushed back, and once more charged forward with his enemy doing the same. Don't insult me. As if I would have anything to do with such weak humans like them. People think they can talk to my vessel, and believe she's not paying attention due to the spaced-out look I give Yakumo's eyes when they are around. I have heard all different kinds of information about people, places, and anything else they talk about to each other to pass the time, said Death Void, as he matched Vergil move for move, and gave the half-devil a smile that seemed to mock the young leaf shinobi. Then after I take your soul, then that knowledge will be mine, and I can help this girl get her life back on track, said Vergil, as he continued to duel with Death Void, and had yet to gain the advantage. As if the girl can be saved. Her body is so weak and has been weak since she was a child, said Death Void, as he pushed Vergil back towards the curtain-covered window, and hesitated slightly knowing what might happen should he attack. Vergil noticed this too, as he looked back from the window, and then at the shadow demon before smirking a devious smirk that Death Void didn't like. Funny thing about shadows. They always seem to have a weakness in terms of being in the same room. As the light, said Vergil, as he ripped the curtains off the window, and let the sunlight shine into the room with Death Void leaping away. Damn it! He knows my weakness, thought Death Void, as he moved to stop Vergil from reaching the next window, and was kicked away for his efforts before another curtain-free window blasted the room with light. I think it's time you saw the power that the light has, Death Void, said Vergil, as he let another curtain fall, and saw Death Void trying to retreat away. You may have learned my weakness, Descendant of Sparda, but once I return to the girl's body, it won't hurt me anymore, and I doubt you have the courage to end her life with me in it, said Death Void as he rushed to the girl, and to once more posses her body like had before. The shadow demon was just a few feet away from the girl when Vergil threw his sword at Death Void, and the demonic doppelganger was hit right in the chest. The impact sent the creature being pinned to the wall by the sword in an area where the light was shining down on him. Death Void screamed out in pain, as he began to burn from the power the light had, and soon burst into flames with its soul soon floating over to Vergil before forming into a shadowy scythe. Wicked sweet, said Vergil, as he used the weapon in a field test, and saw it could make a shadowy copy of himself that could fight on his behalf. After he let the shadow of himself leave his presence, Vergil turned his attention to the girl on the ground now whimpering like she was awakening from a dream, and saw her look up at him in wonder. Who are you? Said Yakumo, as she saw him looking up at her, and then take his katana sword from the wall before sheathing it. I go by many names. For now, just call me Vergil and leave it at that. How are you doing, Yakumo-san? Said Vergil, as he walked over to the girl, and helped her up. I am fine, Vergil-san. May I ask what you are doing here? Said Yakumo, as she was a little frightened by his presence, and his sword with the signs of a battle happening in the room. Helping you with the demon running inside your head. It was connected to your clan's bloodline in making extremely powerful genjutsus that pops up every few generations called Ito. Senju Tsunade, who is now the current Hokage of the Leaf, was going over some of the late third Hokage's notes on situations within the Leaf, and saw what he did with you. She wasn't exactly pleased with her old sensei's actions in handling your situation, so she wanted me to investigate to see if you were possibly possessed by a demon and kill it. Turns out, you were possessed by a shadow demon called Death Void, and has been in control of you for some time, said Vergil, as he saw Yakumo look at him with shock and surprise at being possessed by a demon. Is that why the third Hokage had my abilities sealed away, and why Yuhi Kurenai refused to train me? Said Yakumo, as she saw Vergil nod, and a heavy weight was lifted off the girl's shoulders. Yes, your powers were becoming dangerous under the influence of Death Void, but at the time the sealing methods used on it would only last so long, and your anger at your former sensei, along with the third Hokage, caused the seal to break. I also believe that it was the very demon that possessed you that killed your parents and not the third Hokage, said Vergil, as he couldn't blame the deaths of those two on the old now-dead Kage, though it would be a rare thing indeed. And yet the half-devil still felt the old man should have done things differently in handling this situation. So that's how my parents died. I remember now. I was outside painting since it was such a nice day before I suddenly got sleepy, and then when I woke up I saw my painting was that of my home on fire, said Yakumo, as tears fell down her face, and on instinct ran into Vergil's arms while crying into his shirt. I'm afraid so. The good news is that after removing Death Void from your body, it should get better, and your skills in genjutsu won't be uncontrollable when you use them, said Vergil, as he saw the girl look him in the eyes, and still had tears running down her face. Does this mean I can be Kurenai's apprentice again? Said Yakumo, as she now had a second chance, and wished to once more try to become a shinobi. I imagine so. After I report to the Hokage about what I did, she can have a Yamanaka and Noichi look in your head to check to make sure Death Void's presence is fully gone, and explain things to Kurenai and having her be your sensei once more, said Vergil, as he saw Yakumo's eyes light up at that prospect and hugged him tighter. I would really like that, said Yakumo was going to work twice as hard and one day surpass her old sensei in the art. I'm sure. Now let's say we get out of this dark, depressing place and to an area with more light, said Vergil, as he saw Yakumo nod, and they walked out of the room towards the outside of the house where the Umbu were waiting for them. Is everything all right, Vergil-san? Said one of the Umbu, as he looked at Yakumo with caution, and so did the others. Yes, Umbu-san. The problem Yakumo had involving her genjutsus had been resolved, and she is free to be outside now, said Vergil, as he saw some of the Umbu were still being cautious and weren't so sure as him. Still, I think it's wise if Yakumo-san stays here at the house, and where it is safe, said another Umbu, though Vergil sensed there was something more to it. I'm not so sure. I was planning to have Yakumo go see the Hokage with me to deliver my report. Surely you don't believe the Hokage is in danger while in the presence of one of the Kurama? Said Vergil, as he saw the man's right hand twitch on reflex, and it was then that the half-devil knew something was wrong. Sorry, sir, but we have to insist that Yakumo stay here until you get back, and that she be left once more under our supervision, said another Umbu, who was secretly reaching for a weapon, and stopped when Vergil turned to look at him. You can insist all you want, Umbu-san, but you have to realize I don't answer to you, and the one I do answer to is higher up in the military food chain currently waiting for my mission to be completed here. Surely you are not trying to stop me from completing my mission given to me by the Hokage now, are you? Said Vergil, as he moved Yakumo with his left arm to slowly move behind him, and reached for his sword with his right. Don't even bother trying to reach for it, demon. The instant you do, my nephew will hit Yakumo with his kunai, and end her life, said the Umbu, who upon removing his mask revealed himself to be the girl's uncle Kurama Anaki, and saw his niece's surprise on her face. Uncle Anaki? Why? Said Yakumo, as she saw the man now scowling at her, and then looking at Vergil with that same detesting look. Because you killed my brother with your powers, Yakumo. After your bloodline was sealed away, the clan petitioned the third Hokage to have you executed, but he refused since he believed you were harmless, and let you live here to paint. But I did my research on our clan, and I know the Ito within you broke the seal placed on you after a while. After Tsunade became the new Hokage, I secretly wished to speak with her about doing what the late third Hokage could not, and she too refused to end your life for the good of the village if not for our clan, said Anaki, as he drew his sword, and so did the others. Yakumo's demon that controlled her is gone now. You cannot blame her for something that was a problem within your clan in the past as a whole, said Vergil, as he knew this would require the use of his newest devil arm, and brought out his shadowy scythe. He decided to name Shadowy Death. Regardless, she must be punished for the death of her parents, and since this is a Kurama clan affair now, I suggest you leave Vergil-san, said Anaki, as he saw the girl hiding behind Vergil full now, and looked at the half-devil in surprise when the silver-haired boy used his weapon to make a shadowy duplicate of himself complete with sword. Not going to happen. I'm giving you this one chance to back off right now, or I'm going to decrease the numbers in your clan to be below minor clan status, said Vergil, as he saw some of the members of the clan in Umbu uniform looking at their leader, and saw the man was currently deciding what action to take. Please let me go, Uncle Anaki. I'm sorry for what happened to my parents, but it wasn't my fault, and the thing that was has been killed by Vergil-san, said Yakumo, as she saw her uncle look at her, and then at Vergil with a hand still on his weapon tightening. No, I don't care if that demon inside of you was the one responsible, it used your body, and you were too weak to fight it off. Therefore, you are just as guilty, and must be killed for the sake of the village, said Anaki, as he readied his weapon, and was about to attack when the shadow of death doppelganger of Vergil attacked first by charging forward before it pierced the man with its sword. That's not very nice. Such a poor excuse of an uncle you are. Well, you wanted to do what was best for your clan, and the village, so I will do the same by killing you, said the doppelganger before pulling out its sword and saw the man collapse. Anyone else want to join him? Said Vergil, as he saw the others shake their heads, and then drop their weapons before retreating. Wise choice for a bunch of bakas, said the shadow of death before Vergil recalled the shadow and made sure none of the Kurama clan members that came here were still around. Come on, Yakumo. The Hokage is waiting, and with her temper. One cannot be late without risking a fist to their face with her using such freakish strength, said Vergil, as he saw Yakumo giggle at that and wrap her arms around his waist. Of course, Vergil-kun, said Yakumo, as she now tried to hide her blush from him, and the two were gone a second later. Things were looking up for Kurama Yakumo. Chapter 8 Ice Cold Devil. Vergil sighed, as he watched from afar the famous actress before him performing the role of being a princess in a new movie being shot on the boat they were on, and secretly headed to Snow Country by the client that was her manager. As it turns out, the famous actress wasn't just a famous actress at all, but really an actual princess of Snow Country, who lost her father to her uncle for the special treasure the man had, and was never found after his death. Since then, the fallen ruler's only child was in hiding, lost to the elemental countries, and almost whispered to be a rumor to keep the hopes of the people up despite the oppression of their current tyrant of a ruler. Virgil himself was not impressed by the woman, who had upon being Konoha had turned down several kids asking for autographs, and made the Namikaze want to slash the pretty heart-stealing face to give the secret princess something to really be besmirched about. Of course, he had to resist the urge no matter how tempting it was since the client needed her, and since the man was paying for the mission. His wish was made temporary law. Emphasis on temporary. Perhaps the Hokage should have mentioned how my temper has its limits for people like her? Then again, the money given was a bit higher than our standard rates for a mission like this, thought Virgil, as he cared little for money. But the Hokage did in regards to the funding of the village, and it was enough to have the woman order the half-devil to play nice, despite the woman he was protecting being a whiny naughty girl at the moment. Virgil only hoped that whatever her manager had planned would wake the woman up from the self-pity she was drowning herself in. She's something else when it's time to act, said Asama Sandeu, the woman's manager and client responsible for this mission. Agreed. Still, I suggest you remind the princess of what it is she's neglecting, and make her see what it is she's running away from. I don't like protecting cowardly leaders, and even less when they hide behind their pain, said Virgil, as he looked at Sandeu out of the corner of his eye, and saw the man nod in understanding. I will try to make her understand. You have my word on that, said Sandeu, as he knew the time would soon be at hand to show Princess Koyuki how much the people of Snow Country needed her, and more importantly, how much she needed them. After the man left, Virgil let out another sigh, as he wished to be home right now, being with the people he cared about, and the women he loved. Haku, Kin, Tayuya, Hinata, Yugito, and even Anko had wormed her way into his heart. They all had their issues from their past problems created by the Leaf, Kumo, and Orochimaru to name a few. All of which seemed to gravitate each of them towards the young Namikaze's own pain and help heal their inner injuries that were not of the physical kind from battles. Walking away from the movie being filmed, Virgil stopped at the open door leading into the ship to see Hitaki Kakashi there. His still masked face was serious. The ever-infamous orange perverted book he read no longer in his hands, and was now looking like a proper jounin of the Leaf. After their little talk months ago, Kakashi had nearly repeated an act of family history, and tried to kill himself like his old man did years before. In the end, however, Kakashi could not complete the act, as he felt it was the coward's way out for himself, and also feared to face his father along with his sensei in the afterlife. He went to Inoichi for therapy due to his mental state being put into question, which brought about his confession of every wrong committed against Naruto when the boy was younger, and thus bringing them to the current Hokage's attention. After the mental therapy, combined with the physical one at the hospital that kept the jounin immobilized for a whole month, Kakashi was ready to go back to work, and promised on the punishment of slow agonizing death to no longer betray Virgil in any way. Tsunade reluctantly accepted this fact, but gave Kakashi a fair warning that if he broke that promise, there was not a place in the elemental countries the jounin could hide from, and make sure Virgil unleashed the full fury of his power upon the man. Did you find what you were looking for in her room? Said Virgil, as he looked at the jounin and saw him nod. Yes. She is the princess of Snow Country like her manager claimed, said Kakashi, as he had found the item Koyuki held onto all these years since her father died, and had yet to understand the secret significance behind it. Meaning we're going to be in for a cruel confrontation soon upon docking in Snow Country, said Virgil, as he saw Kakashi nod, and knew this was going to suck big time due to the enemy they would face past foes from the Cyclops' younger days. Hokage Tower Meeting Room. What is it with you people? It's bad enough I have to clean up my sensei's mistakes, but the simple fact you won't stop naughty girling about Virgil, and wanting to restrict him from taking part in various missions is pissing me off, said Tsunade, as she was glad Naruto wasn't here right now since the boy would kill all the people here and drown her in a mountain of paperwork. Though it may become something to consider if this keeps up. He's becoming too powerful. That monster has no loyalty to us. How can we trust what we cannot control, said a civilian council member from the merchant district. Namikaze Virgil has no loyalty to you because you are a civilian and civilians have no business getting involved in shinobi affairs, said Tsunade, as she was not about to have these sniveling little maggots run this place when it was clear they only cared about the money that comes from their positions, and not the people within it. But we, the Shinobi Council, can get involved, and right now we say the boy needs to be restrained from any further missions, said Koharu, as she saw Tsunade narrow her eyes and look ready to punch someone right out of the room. Are you trying to be arrested for treason against the Leaf, Koharu-san? Because I think you need to be reminded that your position on the Shinobi Council is only of an advisor. Nothing more. The third Hokage may have given you the extra boost in power to further help him along with his own agenda, but I will not give you such leeway, and suggest you be grateful I don't have your base thrown to a Ibiki for pushing it, said Tsunade, as she had for the past couple months been keeping the councils from draining what power the position of Hokage had left, and taking what they stole back in the process. Not an easy thing to do. Nevertheless, the boy is a threat the Leaf for what he holds, and for what he is. I say we exile him until there is time in the distant future where we call upon him to aid the Leaf, said Danzo, who got approval from some of his lackeys on the councils, and the rest were thinking it over. Out of the question. An exiling of Namikaze Virgil over such mindless accusations is unfair to him, and you know it. If you are so concerned about trust issues, then perhaps this village shouldn't have treated him so cruelly and done what the fourth Hokage wished, said Tsunade, as she saw them sneer, scowl, and or scoff at the notion of following the fourth Hokage's dying wish. What the fourth Hokage wished for is irrelevant. He's dead. What we do here in the land of the living in this village matters, and I say the boy is too dangerous to stay in Konoha. I say he should be exiled, said Danzo, knowing it would then allow him to capture the boy and bend him to the ways of Root. And I say you have no say in the matter. None of you do. Who I exile or keep in the village is up to the Hokage. It states that much in the village charter to ensure any matter regarding such things falls squarely on the Hokage's shoulders, said Tsunade, as she had spent countless time reading all the village laws that could be used against Vergil, and was prepared to counter to Council's increasingly growing actions to hurt the half-devil long after the Uchiha incident. Regardless, we are telling you to exile the boy for the good of the village, and that to deny such an act will bring about notice to the Fire Daimyo, said Danzo, as he was hoping she would so he could use his eye on the man and get the feudal lord under his thumb. And under what authority do any of you have to order me to exile one of my shinobi? You seem to forget, I am Hokage of the Leaf, and all the shinobi in this village fall under my command. I will decide if Namake's Vergil is exiled. I will decide just what kind of restrictions are placed him if any are needed, and I have the authority to kick every one of you sniveling bastards out of here should you piss me off any further. This meeting is over. Get thee out of here before I change my mind in not booting your asses straight through the window, said Tsunade, as she smashed her fist onto the table, and then pointed to the door with anger blazing in her eyes. They didn't need to be told twice. How could the third Hokage let them keep their positions after the fourth Hokage died, said Shizen, as she knew the third Hokage knew about how the fourth Hokage wanted to remove the people on the councils and establish a new working government into Konoha. Because my old sensei was a damn idiot. He kept them on to give himself the political backing needed to come back in being the third Hokage, also Danzo wouldn't. Everything the third Hokage did was to make sure Danzo didn't take over in being the Hokage, but he forgot the people hurt by his moves like Vergil and Yakumo, just to name a few, said Tsunade, as she was so angry at her sensei for this, and at Jiraiya too for listening to sensei when the old monkey told them to let their godson live in the village to form bonds. She was lucky Vergil didn't go demonic on the leaf. I used to respect him so much. He talked about family, bonding with others, and doing what was right. Now I found the man has gone against such principles simply to win a game against his old rival for the title of Hokage. It's pathetic, said Shizen with anger in her voice, and Tsunade could not agree with her sooner. I agree. All the more reason I'm glad I took the position from him after Orochimaru's invasion failed, said Tsunade, as she put her hand in front of her face and narrowed her eyes in deep thought. It wouldn't be long before Danzo's contacts in the Fire Daimyo's court reached the feudal lord and no doubt would express a great deal of discomfort, being the hottest pig he was, in regards to having a woman running the leaf as its Hokage. For whatever reason Danzo wanted to provoke this decision in her to defy the councils, Tsunade didn't know, but her infamous gambling gut, which had been there for her for good or ill, was now telling the slug princess that Danzo was up to no good with the threat of the Fire Daimyo hearing about her actions. She needed a way to remove the councils. Fast. What do you want to do, Tsunade-sama? Said Shizen curiously. Simple. Get me Jiraiya. Tell him to get his big perverted base in here right now, or I'll take every one of his perverted orange books in Konoha and have a big bonfire in the village square for all to see, said Tsunade, as she needed the Toad Sannin to focus his skills in the art of spying to look inward at the village, and to make sure Danzo's private security force was carefully monitored. Namake's estates a few days later. I miss Vergil Kuin, said Haku, as she wanted to come with him on his mission, but the client had asked only for her lover, and Kakashi be hired for this mission. Plus, the paperwork for making Haku an official shinobi of the Leaf was still not fully processed, and needed to be taken care of before she could even think of doing it. The girls around her currently in the living room nodded in agreement, as they were resting after they spent the past few hours training hard, and talking about things they each saw occurring in the village. Yeah, I miss his smell, his touch, his taste, said Kin, as she sighed at the memory of lying in bed with the half-devil, and saw the others did too. His black rod, said Tayuya, as she saw the girls blush at that, and got glares from two of them in the room. Hinata and Yakumo. Tayuya-chan, you don't rub such things in, and be reminded not everyone here has been with Vergil Kuin, said Yugito, as she knew the two girls wanted to be with Vergil in that way, and couldn't really blame them for it. They probably would have if not for the mission Vergil got from the Hokage to escort the damn spoiled actress through the filming of her movie. They had seen her after the horse-chasing scene/incident where Vergil appeared, knocking down the woman's would-be chasers, and being a total naughty girl to the kids asking for autographs. It took all of their own influence to keep their half-devil lover from drawing his sword on the actress and doing something rash. More would have been spoken, but a knock on the door turned their heads, and Hinata went to answer it to see an angry Sakura with her hands on her hips. From the looks of things, she was not happy with Vergil after what happened with Sasuke, and even less on the fact Team 7 was put on the shelf with her included in that fact. Where is Naruto Baka? Said Sakura, as she saw Hinata looking at her with narrowed eyes, and wondered when the Hyuga girl got a backbone. Vergil-kun is currently out on a mission, Sakura. Why do you ask? Said Hinata in a polite tone, but the patience in the girl was thinned just by Sakura being here, and the desire to smack the girl with the super enlarged forehead back to the stone age of the shinobi world. Because I wanted to give that baka a piece of my mind for what he did to Sasuke-kun and basically crippling his shinobi career, said Sakura, as she had every intention of pounding her former pet right into the ground, and show him what it meant to leave her side for a bunch of barbaric bimbos with more muscle than feminine beauty. Well, he's not in right now, so please stay away from here so you can leave, said Hinata, as she moved to shut the door, but Sakura stopped her, and the pink-haired girl was now narrowing her eyes at the Hyuga girl. Why are you even here? Said Sakura, since she had no idea Hinata would be here much in the home of someone currently on a mission. Because I live here now, said Hinata, as she wasn't going to explain herself to Sakura and further cause problems. What? Why? Are you his slave now or something? Is he forcing you? We should go see the Hokage right now about this, said Sakura, as she tried to push the door open more. But Hinata kept that from happening, and shook her head no. I'm not a slave, Sakura, nor is he forcing me to stay here. If you paid more attention to things around your little world with Sasuke in the center of it, then things would be much easier to see, said Hinata before shutting the door completely, and then locking it. That naughty girl. Here I am to teach the baka a lesson, free her from his grip, and she shuts the door on me. Me. I am the daughter of a civilian councilman, and I won't be shunned by some hussy with a bigger chest, thought Sakura, as she stormed away while planning to stick it to Vergil, and to Hinata for this insult. She would show them. Snow Country. Namake's Vergil frowned at the sight before him of the enemy shinobi, before looking in his direction, and Hitaki Kakashi with Princess Koyuki watching from behind. It was clear Princess Koyuki's not-so-sweet uncle had been responsible for this warm welcome, and it was pissing him off. Surrender the princess to us, and we might let you return home alive in one piece, said the leader Roga Nadar of his team of snow shinobi with him. How about you shut up and die, said Vergil as he drew his blade, and Kakashi had 2 kunai at the reed for battle. Oh, we got ourselves a spunky one from the leaf, and not a bad-looking shinobi either, said Kakioka Fubuki, as she looked at Vergil with an evil gleam in her eyes and a grin to match. You're not my type, said Vergil as he walked slowly, yet methodically towards his enemies, and looked at 3 snow shinobi with the intent to kill. Kill him. Hitaki Kakashi is mine, said Nadar, as he moved to fight Kakashi while Fubuki and Fuyukuma Mizore went after the half-devil Namakes. Mizore shot his retractable cable arms at Vergil, but the half-devil easily destroyed it with the 2 quick swings of his sword, and let the invisible energy unleashed from the slash to Yamato destroy the line of chain that went with it. Enraged, the larger man moved to kill Vergil with his own 2 hands, and tried to punch the silver-haired boy's face in. The half-devil easily dodged the attacks to his face along with the attempts by Mizore to the rest of his body before rolling around in front of him and stabbing Shinobi in the back through the chest. Mizore, I'll kill you. Ice style. Tsubame Blizzard Jutsu, said Fubuki, as she unleashed her ice jutsu on Vergil, who let the blades of ice pierce his body, and fell to his knee with his head slumped. No, said Koyuki, as she saw her Namake's protector go down, and looked at Kakashi fighting Roga to keep him from reaching her. Smirking at her work, Fubuki walked over to Vergil in the belief she had killed him, and grabbed the boy by the throat with an evil look across her face. It left her, however, as she soon found Yamato sticking into through her stomach, and out her back with the half-devil slowly rose from his position, while Fubuki did the opposite. How? Said Fubuki, as her ice jutsu shattered, and Vergil pulled the blade out of her before he began sheathing the blade. Simple. I'm the devil, said Vergil, as he sheathed the sword fully, and instantly the snow shinobi fell to the ground dead while spraying blood everywhere around her on the snow-covered ground. What is he? Said Roga, as he leaped away from Kakashi and saw his 2 teammates dead on the ground. Like he said, Roga. He's the devil, said Kakashi, as he saw the man look on in fear at Vergil, and then retreat for a later confrontation. That could have gone better, said Vergil, as he saw Roga get away, but knew why Kakashi let him go, and was to make sure the princess was safe should this be some kind of diversion. Yes. It means Koyuki's uncle knows she's here, and it also means we're going to have to confront him sooner than later, said Kakashi, as he saw Vergil nod his head and look around through the trees in the area. I sense something. Something demonic is here in this place. Long forgotten and buried beneath the snow. Is this the winter here naturally this cold? Said Vergil, as he looked around trying to sense where the feeling was coming from, and stopped when he felt it off in the distance. I don't know. It's been so long since I've been here, said Koyuki with Kakashi nodding in agreement. It's always cold here in Snow Country, I'm afraid. Though I will admit there were times I felt it was unnatural, said Sandeu, as he was old enough to remember, and there were cases in his younger years where the cold winter of the country were so bad that people died from it within minutes. You think there is something more to the winter of Snow Country than that of nature being cruel? Said Kakashi, as he saw Vergil nod his head, and was telling the Cyclops this was something only the Namakes could handle. I will deal with it when the time comes, but not at the expense of the mission, and the protection of the princess, said Vergil, as he motioned for Koyuki to follow them, and the film crew was doing the same while filing everything. We're going to make a fortune, thought the director, as he was so glad his crew were able to capture the fighting and the drama that was behind it. With Kazuhana Dodo, "You let them get away? You couldn't even move to capture my niece?" said Dodo, as he was extremely angry now at Roga, and saw the shinobi before bowing further in shame. "Forgive me, Dodo-sama. I lost my teammates during the battle fighting the silver-haired swordsman, while I fought Hitaki Kakashi, and the Leaf Jounin himself is the fourth Hokuge's only surviving student with incredible skill," said Roga, as he knew Kakashi alone would result in one among the team losing their life. But the boy with him was clearly someone not to be underestimated, and any who did would meet an untimely death. "Very well. It seems the hard way of handling this will have to be done. At least we know where they're headed from where they landed. When that happens we will strike, and we will take my niece right out from under them," said Dodo, as he grinned an evil grin, and looked out at the cold outside his window. "Yes, Dodo-sama," said Roga, as he knew next time failure happened it would be his last, and not necessarily at the hands of the enemy. Though which side would do him in Roga did not know. Deep within one of the mountain regions not far from them, something stirred slowly awake, and growled angrily at the scent it picked up. "With Vergil. Damn her. Damn. That woman," said Vergil, as he moved swiftly through the trees to catch up with the now runaway princess of Snow Country, and was losing a great deal of patience with her in regards to the attitude she was creating. Looking down, the Namikaze half-devil saw the woman running through the snow, and instantly dived upon Koyuki before they tumbled, with the end result being Yamato halfway drawn while being a few inches from her famous face. "Go ahead. Do it. Strike me down. We both know you've wanted to ever since Sandeo hired the Leaf to watch over me. It saves me the trouble of acting in movies or just ruling over this place for the rest of my life," said Koyuki, as she saw Vergil was angry, and was so close to slicing her head off. "That can be arranged. Do not tempt me, princess. My mercy has considerable limits, and I will run you through with this blade before telling everyone else it was Snow Shinobi that did the deed on the orders of your uncle. Or you could let me and Hitaki do our jobs right by protecting you with a side of killing your uncle, so you can rule the country like your father would have wished. Are you so much of a coward that you would hide away in shame behind acting while knowing that every time you sleep he stares at you with a frown of disappointment in your dreams?" said Vergil, as he saw the bags under Koyuki's eyes from the lack of sleep she got, and the makeup put on helped cover up the signs of it. "What do you know about suffering? What do you know about losing someone close to you?" said Koyuki, as she was now crying, and saw Vergil just glaring at her like she was some kind of idiot. "I know enough. I know what it means to be hated since the day of my birth. I know what it's like to be manipulated by someone close to me only to find the guy was a hypocritical bastard. You couldn't have lasted 2 weeks in my shoes, lady, so don't give me shit about what it means to suffer," said Vergil, as he sheathed his blade, got off the ground, and pulled the princess up with him. "Really?" said Koyuki, seeing him looking around for any enemy forces before looking back at her. "Trust me. You'd be begging for the actress life if you were me during my naive years. Those days when I didn't know why the people of the Leaf wanted to butcher me 6 ways from Sunday," said Vergil, as he motioned for her to follow him and meet up with the others. As they walked, they came to a large tunnel, which had a light that was barely seeable, and made their way through it while seeing a line of tracks on the ground covered in ice. Koyuki then told him these were train tracks, which the train ran on during the lesser-than-cold cycle of Snow Country, and Vergil soon felt the hairs on the back of his neck rise up in sensing incoming danger. Sure enough, the very train the princess spoke of was behind them, coming towards their person at ramming speed, and forcing the half-devil to run with Koyuki on his back. "We'll never make it. The train is too fast," said Koyuki, as she looked behind her, and saw the train getting closer with each passing second. "Shut up. It's not over until we're either out of the tunnel, or we're run over by the train. So until either one happens, I don't want you saying such negative things in my ear. And the obvious thing that is currently happening behind us," said Vergil, as he was almost at the end of the tunnel, and had to endure Koyuki's screams of fear with the train inches from running them both over. With a good leap to his left, Vergil managed to get himself and the princess away from being run over by a mere 3 inches of space upon leaping off the tracks onto soft, refreshing snow. It was at this time Koyuki looked at him, and the train in disbelief like it was some kind of miracle they survived what appeared to be their certain death. In another instant, she tackled Vergil while he was getting up and hugged him while constantly saying "thank you" repeatedly for the rescue. Maybe things will finally turn around, thought Koyuki. She got off of Vergil, and the snow-covered ground just in time for both of them to witness the train stopping. Then again, maybe things were getting worse. Not far from them, the film crew along with Kakashi were waiting for them to come over to where they were when the train had slowed down and be a complete group again. Not wanting to stay separated from them any longer, Vergil picked the princess up. Then he leaped over the train and made his way to Kakashi before telling him what had happened so far. By that point, Sandeu appeared with a small army of rebels wishing to fight against the tyranny of Kazuhana Dodo, and for the true ruler of Snow Country to take her rightful place on the throne. "Ignorant fools. Contact the airship and tell them we will be adding a special guest aside from myself," said Dodo, as he pressed the button on the console next to him in the lead train, and the sides of the length of the train fell down to reveal arrow cannons that would shoot multiple arrows at high velocity at the army. "Shit. Kakashi. Use an earth jutsu to block the arrows. Now, said Vergil, as his right arm became demonic and surging with energy before charging forward with a Rasengan forming within it. Earth style, Earth Shield Jutsu, said Kakashi before slamming his hands down hard through the snow until he hit dirt and a massive wall rose from the ground protecting the army from the volley of arrows. What? Damn those leaf shinobi. Dodo, as he looked out his window from the lead train to see Kakashi shield the rebels, and then at Vergil running towards the train with that jutsu in his hands. It didn't take a genius to understand what the half-devil had planned. Devil-bringer Rasengan, said Vergil, as he made contact with the train moments later, and caused the train to violently explode with all who were in it. Incredible, thought Koyuki as she saw the power the boy wielded, and wondered if this was truly the end of her uncle. Again, her hopes were deflated when Roga sneaked up behind the princess, and took off from under Kakashi's nose before the leaf jounin could stop the kidnapping. Damn it, said Vergil as he moved to pursue Roga, who leaped into the air and grabbed a ladder. In sky along the clouds was a massive airship, which were the stuff of rumors in regards to the lost technology that once a common thing in the world and had become exclusive to Snow Country. It was for that reason which for various years, Danzo had secretly been trying to get hold of such technology with his root shinobi, but the distance from here to the Leaf made such long-term missions a high risk should the third Hokage caught on to him after Root was officially disbanded, and couldn't risk Snow Shinobi finding out about his actions either. Though Danzo wasn't the only one searching for such technology that was hidden away in Snow Country, as various other shinobi villages had been hired by their feudal lords to find such things like plans for making the airship and the train in order to make their own. However, the cold climate of Snow Country proved to be a cruel force to be reckoned with, and forced many shinobi to abandon the mission from that alone since not many were equipped to handle such cold weather. Fool, you think the train I was in is the only ace up my sleeve to defeat your band of rebels? Huh, now that I have the princess and the key to my brother's treasure I will finally be unstoppable, said Dodo, as he took the jewel around Koyuki's neck and saw his niece struggle against Roga. Damn it, said Sandeu as he saw the airship taking off and saw something moving up along the ladder hanging off to the vessel. Who is that? Is that Vergil? Said Kakashi, which was stupid to ask since it obviously was him, and only a Namikaze would do something like this to complete the mission. I better get paid extra for this, thought Vergil, as he was so going to have the Hokage pay him extra for this. Then he was going to home and get his much-needed freak on with his girls. All of them. Climbing up the airship, Vergil made sure not to get caught and entered the behemoth of a vehicle, and found it to be quite impressive. Looking at the designs of the ship shown on the nearby wall to determine where to go, the half-devil found where the brain that was the bridge of the ship was, and went there to find before stopping at the door to peek inside to see Dodo with the princess being restrained by Roga. You have eluded me for too long, my niece. To be honest, I thought you would be easier to kill than your father, but I did not expect my brother's daughter to actually acquire the skills needed to go into hiding and delay your untimely death, said Dodo, as he grinned at his niece, and held up the jewel that had been on her person for well over a decade. It just shows how pathetic you are, uncle. You couldn't even capture a little girl or find the secret treasure my dad had in his possession, said Koyuki as she saw him frown, and moved to backhand her face though he stopped at the last second in thought. You should consider yourself lucky right now. I could easily strike you down for your insolence like I did your father, my sweet Koyuki. What I will do instead is let you witness the use of your father's so-called treasure by activating it with this jewel, and bring about my complete control over Snow Country, said Dodo, as he saw Koyuki look at him in fear now, and Vergil understood why. Dodo had found the treasure, but needed the key, and now had the key in his hands thanks to the return of Snow Country's long-lost princess. How about we let sleeping dogs lie, said Vergil, as he had heard enough, and opened the door with his sword drawn. You. How did you even get on board this ship, said Roga, as he saw his teammates kill her, and took a step back with the princess still secure in his hands. You really shouldn't leave your ladders hanging out of your airship. It invites people to just simply come aboard, said Vergil, as he walked slowly towards them, and Roga put a kunai to the Koyuki's throat. Take another step closer and I'll kill the princess, said Roga, as he knew what this boy could do, and it scared him to no end. Then kill her. You think I care about a whiny naughty princess, who feels the whole world owes her something just because dear old daddy died, and at the hands of her evil bastard of an uncle? You'd be doing the world a favor in ending the woman's life, and put an end to her making crappy movies, said Vergil, as he kept walking towards them, and Roga taking a step back from the advancing half-devil. You're bluffing, said Roga, as he pressed the blade tighter against Koyuki's throat, and seemed to be become afraid. Then kill her and find out. If anyone asks, I will simply say Dodo ordered you to kill the princess before I could stop you, and no one would be able to dispute otherwise because it would be true, said Vergil, as he let the tip of his sword scrape the metal floor of the bridge, and the sound it was making further causing a distraction of mentality for Roga thinking this over while Dodo just looked at him cautiously. Why? I thought Leaf Shinobi were honorable, said Koyuki as she glared at Vergil, who gave her a look stating he didn't care, and shrugged slightly to further prove it. Normal Leaf Shinobi from Konoha are honorable. But I'm a half-devil. And a devil can never be called an honorable person, said Vergil, as he looked at Koyuki, Roga, and then at Dodo before back to the princess. Waiting for the right moment. And he got it. Faster than either anyone could see, Vergil threw Yamato right at the snow shinobi's face, and the impact of the blade going through the man's face caused Roga to drop the kunai and smash the glass on the bridge window. The rush of air swarmed around Dodo, Vergil, and Koyuki with only the princess on the ground, while Vergil calmly looked at the woman's uncle scowling at the half-devil. "I thought you said devils weren't honorable," said Dodo, as he put his arm near his face to keep the cruel cold winds and snow from biting into his face. "I'm half of one. While that half is not honorable, the other half of me is, and I choose to embrace the honorable half right now," said Vergil, as he recalled Yamato to his hand before sheathing it and brought out Grim Reaper to his right hand. "So you were acting this whole time," said Dodo, as he saw Koyuki moving slowly away from them, and was just as surprised as him. "I've had a lot of practice growing up in fooling people with my acting, until it was time to stop acting. As for your niece, she had not idea it was an act, which made it all the more believable, and the deception needed to kill your shinobi all the more easier," said Vergil, as he walked in a fluid manner like before, and kept most of Koyuki out of Dodo's line of sight. "I'm sure you have, but it won't change the fact that I cannot be stopped, and this jewel is my means of ensuring my survival," said Dodo, as he showed Vergil the jewel, and the half-devil looked at before shrugging. "Keep it. I have no interest in fake jewelry," said Vergil, as he saw Dodo, and sensed Koyuki looking at him in disbelief. Fake. This isn't a fake. Everyone knows my niece wears this thing every day, and never lets it out of her sight," said Dodo, as he assumed it was another act, and was not going to fall for another one of Vergil's tricks. "Says you. Can you be sure? You forget, Hitaki Kakashi knows about the jewel too, and I wouldn't put it past the man to pull a switch on her." "Just in case," said Vergil, letting out a cruel chuckle and smirk that made Dodo sweat a little at his words. "Kakashi? Of course. He was here in Snow Country once before with Fourth Hokage. He must have learned about her being my niece, and swapped the jewel for a fake one. But what if the boy is lying? I can't figure out what's going on inside his head," thought Dodo, as he looked at Vergil, then Koyuki, and then Vergil again while trying to find out if this was indeed a bluff. "In any case, I think it is in the best interest of Princess Koyuki, Sandae-san, and the people of Snow Country that I end your life now. Goodbye and good riddance," said Vergil, as he moved quickly, and stabbed Dodo right in the gut with Grim Reaper, before arching up to slice the man into two. Retracting his devil-bringer of a weapon, Vergil turned around to face the stunned woman behind him, and held out his hand with the princess slowly reaching out to take it with only a second of hesitation before being pulled off the ground. For a moment, Koyuki did not look at him, or rather she slapped him across the face before yelling at him for being such an arrogant bastard in playing with her life like it was a piece to be played in a chess game. "I don't suppose you have anything to say in your defense," said Koyuki, as she finished her chewing out, and waited for the boy to crumple under her anger. "Most usually did. Actually, I do. Are you done naughty girling yet?" said Vergil calmly. He wasn't among those that did crumpled. "What?" said Koyuki, surprised by how he didn't seem to even affect him. "Are you done bitching yet?" "I hate repeating myself," said Vergil calmly, like her slap was no big deal. "Yes," said Koyuki, as she feared he would turn his sword or arm thing on her like he had done with the others. "Good. Now follow me," said Vergil, as he took her hand, and began walking to the bridge before heading to a potential escape hatch. They barely got 3 steps when a pulse of demonic power hit Vergil, and forced the boy to stop in his tracks to gather his thoughts. It was close, of that Vergil could sense, but it was not on the ship, and more than likely in the nearby mountain region they were flying over. "What is it?" said Koyuki curiously before looking around. "It's nothing, Princess Koyuki. At best, we better get off this airship, and quickly before the nothing does indeed become a something," said Vergil, as he moved towards a nearby exit to the outside, and braced for the cold wind trying to tear them apart. "It's a long way down," said Koyuki, as she looked down with him, and knew no amount of snow could cushion their fall. "Ye of little faith, my dear." "Shadow clone jutsu," said Vergil, as he created a small army of shadow clones and motioned to the dangling ladder. "You're insane. You can't expect to lower me down simply by using the ladder and your shadow clones," said Koyuki, seeing them getting into position. "It's either that or you stay with me while I crash this airship into the nearby mountain, so my teammate will not be where you are. Here, take this flare gun, and shoot into the air after I crash the airship. When the flare explodes, the symbol of the leaf will appear and alert Kakashi of your location," said Vergil, as he gave her the item, and saw her lower herself down the ladder towards the shadow clones attached at the bottom of it. "Vergil-sen, I want to say I'm sorry for slapping you, being so spoiled and just plain. Well, naughty seems to be the appropriate word. Maybe after this is over, we can have a fresh start and be friends," said Koyuki, as she saw him raise an eyebrow at the offer. But the smirk on Vergil's face told her he would consider it, and gave her shoulder a quick pat of understanding. "Of course. Now your freedom await you, princess," said Vergil, as he bowed slightly, and left to head back to the bridge to alter its course. "With Kakashi. Can you track the airship?" said Sandae to Kakashi, as they along with the rebels were now trying to find the princess, and Vergil before Dodo did something horrible to either one. "Not by my usual standards, but fortunately the weather has cleared up recently, and I can look up for the airship if I reach a certain point," said Kakashi, as he looked for Vergil's chakra signature since it was quite powerful and not easy to hide when in combat. Are they at least nearby? Said Sandeo in the hopes they were. Maybe. I think I see. There's the airship, said Kakashi looking into the distance near a large mountainous region. Moving to the spot Kakashi saw the airship. They stopped when the airship had changed its course and crashed into the closest mountain before exploding in a great ball of fire. Running towards the destruction, Kakashi along with Sandeo, and the rebels were glad to see a flare being shot into the air away from the wreckage. Princess Koyuki, said Sandeo, as he ran more than he had in long time since he was a young man, and his bones didn't hurt so much from old age creeping up on him. Sandeo, said Koyuki as she hugged the man, and was glad to see a familiar face once more. Where's Vergil? Said Kakashi, as he looked around for the Namakes and didn't see him anywhere. Vergil killed Dodo and Roga before getting me off the airship before heading back to the bridge to crash it. I don't know if he got off the airship or not, said Koyuki, as she wanted to cry now, and for the first time in a long time. It was real crying. Oh no, thought Kakashi, as he summoned his tracking dogs, and had them instantly spread to find the Namakes with the rebels helping in the process. With Vergil. Ow. Okay. Note to self, don't crash airships into mountains. They tend to blow up and send you into mountains soon afterwards, said Vergil to himself before getting off the ground and cracking his back. You are a descendant of Sparda, said a demonic voice not far from Vergil, who turned to see a chained three-headed dog surrounded by snow and generating ice around its body. Well, that's something you don't see every day. An actual three-headed dog. Can I keep you? You'd definitely get me the first place ribbon at the dog show coming this spring, said Vergil, as he saw the demonic animal's head plus the other two growling at him, and looked ready to tear his head off. Insolent fool. You may possess the blood of Sparda, but you are just a shell of what he was, and nothing more. I'll wipe you out from existence, said the demonic dog, as it roared in anger, and the room shook with ice falling from the ceiling above. Is that so? Well, before you grant the world such an illustrious honor, would you care to tell me your name? Said Vergil, as he summoned his shadowy doppelganger, who drew his sword, and while the real Namakes brought out his own. I am Cerberus, once a guardian to the underworld. I have been lost throughout time to be stuck in this miserable place while using my power every so often to freeze the people living around this land to death, said Cerberus, as its power to freeze nearly covered the entire room, and Vergil in the process had the boy leaped away. I see. Tell you what, Cerberus, I'll free you from here after I win, and take your soul to become my devil bringer. How does that sound? Said Vergil, as he saw Cerberus's three heads looking at him with narrowed eyes and growling at him with deadly fury. You have to kill me first, boy. I doubt you have the skill, said Cerberus. Then attack me and find out if I meet your standards like I've been doing with my own family, said Vergil, as he gave Cerberus a swordsman's salute and prepared to fight the large demon. Cerberus chuckled at Vergil before charging the young Namakes, who ducked out of the way with his doppelganger doing the same, and with the half-devil instantly moving to slice through the demon's feet while his shadow of death moved to strike the head. It was not easy, as the demonic ice and armor around Cerberus made it difficult to harm the demon dog. Cerberus wasn't going to make it easy on them either, as the former guardian of the underworld unleashed its ice powers on Vergil, and the half-devil had to use his speed to his advantage in order to prevent himself from becoming an everlasting blood smear on the cave walls. His shadow of death Devilbringer worked with him in moving all over the place to cause Cerberus misdirection, despite the dog demon have 3 heads and knew it would need to use all of them to protect itself from Yamato's blade. Though despite having 3 heads, it was the speed Vergil possessed, which proved they were not better than one, and his doppelganger too. Cerberus howled in pain from Yamato cutting through its skin and in anger at missing his target throughout this battle. What was even worse for the demonic dog was its 2 other heads had been destroyed by Vergil and was now slumped on the ground, defeated. You are indeed Sparda's descendant. To think I was defeated by the likes of you, and his bloodline for a second time in my long life, said Cerberus as he could move and looked down at Vergil while the shadow of death was recalled. Hey, don't be down like that. You put up a pretty good fight worthy of your station. I can see why you were declared guardian of the underworld. It's been a long time since I had a good fight, and you brought it to the table, said Vergil, as he saw Cerberus grin at him, or as much as a demonic dog could grin without it looking like it was about to bite someone in half. You are honorable. Just like he was back when I first encountered him. You said before the start of this fight that you would take my soul with you in order to free me from this place. Is that offer still available? Said Cerberus, as it didn't want to be here anymore, and wanted to be free again like it had once before. Yes, said Vergil, as he extended his right hand and saw Cerberus glow blue. Then take my soul. You have my blessing, said Cerberus, as it let out a tired sigh of relief, and the giant demonic dog's body vanished into an icy blue orb of energy before it fell into Vergil's hands to reform itself into a 3-pronged ice nunchakus. Very nice, thought Vergil while smirking, as he tested them out on the area around him, and found them to be very effective in his hands. Of course he would continue to practice with them for good measure. The wall in the corner collapsed to reveal stairs leading up and out of the room with Vergil taking it without looking back. After what felt like hours of walking, the half-devil found the exit, and found himself surprisingly at the base of the mountain. Not really caring how that really happened, Vergil walked away from the mountain, and soon found the others currently looking for him with Kakashi's tracking dogs. "Vergil, are you all right?" said Kakashi as he saw the half-devil smirk and reveal his new weapon. "Yep, and I got myself a new demon weapon." "Say hello to Cerberus," said Vergil, as he showed them its ice-like power, and they were awed by it. "Was that the source of the unnatural cold snow country was having on occasion?" said Sandeu, as he saw Vergil nod, and then explain his battle with Cerberus. "While snow country will have its cruel winters, they will no longer be so cruel to cause agonizing death and suffering upon your people. Also, Kakashi-san, could you give the princess her jewel back?" said Vergil, as he saw Kakashi nod, and take out Koyuki's jeweled necklace before handing it to the woman. "Sorry I swapped it, but I couldn't risk it falling into Dodo's hands. And use it for what he had planned in regards to your father's treasure," said Kakashi, as he knew like Dodo did that this jewel was the key to the treasure Koyuki's father had hidden away, and what the man's brother had killed him to find. "It's okay. I think I would like to see my father's treasure, though, and what this jewel was meant to be used for it," said Koyuki, as she took the jewel and followed Vergil to the area he saw where Dodo was no doubt going to take her on his airship. "Interesting," said Vergil, as he saw Koyuki put the jewel in the slot designed specifically for this massive technological wonder, and saw the sun piercing through the clouds onto the massive monolith of mirrors around him still covered in ice. Once the jewel was in place, the item glowed with energy, and the machine sprang to life with power, with the ice melting off the mirrors with the sun shining off of them. With that happening, the temperature was getting warmer, the snow melting, and surprisingly the ground underneath the snow was grassy green. "The treasure, it's a machine that brings about spring," said Koyuki, as she saw the lush landscape before her, and realized why her father spent so much time on this. He wanted to end the bitter cold of snow country, to turn it into something wonderful. "And with Cerberus no longer here to make things difficult, the land will be prosperous, and bring your people happiness with the wealth they will now possess," said Vergil, as he saw the life once beneath the cold snow surface reveal itself to him, and it made the young half-devil smile at the sight. Life finds a way. Snow Country capital several days later. The celebration of Princess Koyuki's return to Snow Country was a big hit, with people singing, dancing, and drinking themselves stupid. Vergil was given the titled Knight of Snow, which made him an honorary citizen of the country, and was welcome back anytime for whatever reason. However, the day after the celebration would be the day Vergil would have to head home to the Leaf and give an official report to the Hokage, along with an alliance treaty, trading right with Fire Country, and future mission for the Leaf Shinobi of Konoha should the need arise. "Jackpot," said Vergil to himself, as he looked at Princess Koyuki not far away signing autographs for kids before she looked at him, and gave him a wink before showing the script in her hands that made his eyes go wide for a second. Ika Ika Paradise, the movie. Something told Vergil that he would be very much involved in that production, and was looking forward to it when shooting the film started. Jackpot indeed. That's all for today, everyone. Within the second this video hits 200 likes, the next part will drop. In the meantime, enjoy this video. Just click on it, and I'll see you there.